System. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m. only on Vop TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at Vop TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. Vop TV, Voice of the People Television.
It's your girl Larry Kel the Dimples, aka Risky Baby, and you are watching Vop TV. Do not go anywhere. Where are you going to? Stay here. Calm down. Stay here if you're not.
What's up, everybody? Who's Arco here, and I'm hanging out on Vop TV. Keep it locked, don't go nowhere. Let's go.
Hi everyone, my name is Yvonne Jagada. You are watching Vop TV, and don't change the dial, because I said so.
Who's happy to post? I mean, who's happy the most? Because when shit goes south, y'all be happy to ghost. When you make a wrong move, they be happy to roast. But be careful when you win, who's not happy to toast. I am VJ Adams, and you rock with Vop TV. Don't move.
Hi, people. Bisola here, and you are watching Vop TV. Mwah.
Shout out to Vop TV. It's so good to have you on the red carpet of AV. Love you all. Wishing you all the best.
Here's a shout out to Vop TV. It's your girl April Oshidikwe at the AV premiere. You know what it is.
Hi everyone, my name is Linda Ejiofor Suleiman, and I'm live at the EV premiere. Keep watching Vop TV.
I want to say hello to my Italian friends. I want to say them that Nigeria is the best country in the world, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Hi guys, my name is Tomo Atebe. I'm an actor, and you guys are live on Vop TV. Keep it locked, because I said so.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's your girl Phil Storms out here, and this is a big shout out to Vop TV.
Hi guys, my name is Charles Bourne.
My name is Lydia Lawrence Nze,
Please
and
keep watching Voice of the People Television. Love ya.
Are you ready for the extraordinary? Something big is happening on your screen. Introducing Vop TV, now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter.
Africa is on the move, a continent of rising voices, untold stories, and powerful transformations. From the streets of Lagos to the heart of Nairobi, from the mines of Congo to the tech labs of Cape Town, the African story is being written every day. Bold, dynamic, unstoppable. This is African News on Voice of the People Television. We don't just bring you the news. We analyze and bring you Africa's heartbeat, the politics that shapes our nations, the economies that drives our future, the cultures that defines who we are, the voice that must be heard. Africa News, Africa's voice, Africa's future. Where Africa speaks, the world listens.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at VOP TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. VOP TV, Voice of the People Television.
In a world where power shakes with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
Goals like Cristiano Ronaldo. I am a proud Nigerian, and right here we talk NFF. For every sports update, commentaries, live interviews on the game, we got you on this because right here at Voice of the People TV, the Sports Public Show has got everything just for you to be part of it. I love the beautiful game, and that's why KGK loves sports.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest.
This is Newspaper Review. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jane Ogoye, and with me today in the studio, as usual, we have Mr. Lawal Ekundayo. He's a public affairs analyst, and he loves to call himself a farmer. Good morning. Thank you for staying back.
Thank you.
And Mr. Dele Fanimo, a veteran reporter and public affairs analyst. And my co-host, Mr. Chukuma Okoro.
Not just your co-host. I'm on the other side.
On the other side.
So I can attack some people.
All right. Let's just dive in. Punch newspaper leads with a story. Troops repel fresh attack as fallen general, soldiers buried. Northern leaders, Afenifere, demand action as security crisis worsens. 345 killed, 361 abducted in March, says an institute. U.S. lawmaker seeks Matawale's ouster.
You see, my worry in all of this is that when these bandits, terrorists, whatever name you call them, when they strike, they go for generals, redneck, colonels, and all that. And we can see them. But when our troops say they have killed 50, that same environment where they said they have killed 50, in the next 2 weeks, there will be an attack.
Yeah.
A massive attack. You see, I would have advised our security operatives to adopt the Israelis' operational strategy and tactics. What do I mean? Over the years, the Israelis don't attack just ordinary people when they're at war. They go for the leader. Once you displace the leader of a group, for that group to really reestablish itself, it will take a while. But if you kill miscreants.
No, foot soldiers.
Foot soldiers. There is a pool from which they can replace everyone killed with 10 in days, even in 24 hours. Because those people had already been radicalized. But the ones that are leaders, if Boko Haram tells me today that, we have exterminated Toji Bello and some other leaders of this group, then I can clap for them. But anything short of that, it's not.
But you know, in 2021, if my memory serves me right, it was said that Shekau was killed. I'm just asking. I mean, did we really see any difference per se? Since 2021, Shekau was one of the strong men.
Did you know how many times Shekau was killed?
And resurrected.
Do you know the person? Do you know people who killed Shekarau? The terrorists themselves. Because there was a big bounty on his head. And that other faction of these terrorists wanted to claim that ransom.
Yeah.
So they had to go for Shekarau. It's not Nigerian military that killed him. That's why it's just like somebody take over a group that are also as bad as that group. So nothing changes. I believe it's Nigerian government troops that took care of Shekarau.
Shekau
is still alive. Shekau. I didn't in Nigeria that took care of Shekau. You see that there will be a step down. Other groups will be afraid that they can take the upper head of this one off. They can do that. But it is another group, ISWA, that actually killed this Shekau. Not Nigerian government. The Nigerian government have killed him many times. The guy will come out and say, where did they kill him? I'm talking now. And they will go for another operation. So that's what is happening.
Yes, that's exactly what is happening. But to add, Philip, to what Dele said, you know, the Israeli Defense Force, I'm surprised they call themselves the Defense Force because they're always attacking. But they call themselves the IDA, Israeli Defense Force. When they want to go, they go for
missions,
you know,
operations.
They go for the big heads. Like when you strike the shepherd, you know, the sheep will scatter. But unfortunately, I've also discovered in the course of study and in the course of understanding strategic studies and war studies, I understand that terrorism, it's more like, it's an octopus. You know, there's an animal that
they keep evolving.
Keeps evolving. The moment if you cut off one head, another one will spring up. For all the number of ROICs, that is Iran Republican Guards Corps, you know, that Israel and America have killed in Iran, you know, the moment you kill one, there's another one that comes up. They killed Qasim, you know, in Iran. I think Qasim was killed in Iraq sometime that was in 2021. They have killed Nasrallah, you know, Hezbollah leader and all of that. But at every turn, they've killed Hamas leader several times. At every turn, you know, they keep coming up. The major problem here, you know, while we still have all of these things, is that we've not been able to take out the sponsors of terrorism. That is the only problem we have. Unfortunately, we might not even know these people, the sponsors, because we heard Jonathan say, well, I have Boko Haram in my government. Yeah. When he said, I have Boko Haram in my government, he wasn't talking about people that were carrying arms, you know, carrying pistols and all of that.
Those ones are even deadlier than the ones on the field.
The enemy in the house, the enemy within. That is the problem we have until such a time that we get to, you know, the root of the sponsors, the source, and cut them off. Unfortunately for us, we have reached a stage where the whole problem has been internationalized. Because we are not just looking at local sponsors now, we are looking at foreign sponsors.
Yeah.
You know, and because there's a certain sentiment, anti-American sentiment that runs, you know, in some parts of the world, not just geography, but in terms of ideology and religion. So any place America is, they say, oh, you guys are here. Okay, let's go there and counter them. What is ISWAP all about? Islamic State West Africa.
West Africa.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if they have sponsors from the Middle East. And if they have sponsors from the Middle East, it becomes more Herculean to cut off that source. And so, because they have a ready army, you know, of recruits, people who are willing. And you know why we caused the problem for ourselves? Over time, in the past 50, 60 years, we didn't take care of that community. You know, that pool was not taken care of, especially from the north. And we are still breeding, throwing them into the street for arms and all of that. We still have the Almajiris. Was it you or the other one, somebody that said you have a man, you know, in some parts of the north that has like 4 or 5 wives?
Yes.
You know, the only thing he does is to procreate.
Procreate.
And by the time they start working, I mean, by the time they start working on a lot of that, they push them into the streets to go and survive. And it becomes easier, to recruit these people because they don't know any good life.
Yes.
And when they are indoctrinated in madrasas and all of that, they run with it. They feel that if they kill you, that they will simply go to heaven and they will be given vengeance and all of that. So that indoctrination, until we are able to educate that mass, that pool that is ready available and cut off that sort, nobody will be running around this thing. Like,
but do you even think it's possible to start that re-education right now?
No, it is possible.
It is possible.
It's possible. Jonathan started. Jonathan started the Marjorie School, but that was his undoing because the North uses these people, that pool, as more like to create their. The more they keep them down, the better for them, so that they wouldn't have a group of people, to rise and challenge them. But there is a change. Something is changing, no matter how small, there's a reinvention in the North. You see that the educated northern middle class, are beginning to be more outspoken.
Even uneducated.
They are beginning to be more outspoken. There are certain things that happened during the 2023 election that you wouldn't have thought of like 20 years ago. I mean, Buhari's convoy was stoned. In 1999, nobody would dare do that to Muhammadu Buhari. At some point in 2023, we had people, converge in the front of the palace of the Sadwana of Sokoto to do a protest. Who would have thought that 20 years ago? Yeah. It wouldn't have happened. But there is that change, that incremental, no matter how little, even if it is snail speed, is beginning to, crop up in the North to the extent that the middle class, even the educated ones, are beginning to speak out. They said, no, this is not what we want. We are going in this direction. So if we are beginning to notice those changes, what we need to do is go back to the North, educate them. Because, we have one country in Nigeria. If you have a family of 9 people, you educate 1 or 2 and leave the other 7. The other 7 will simply be a burden,
Mr. Okoro, let me come in. I want to, bring something in. This introduction of this Sharia law in this North, can seriously hamper.
Sharia law has always been there.
No. It's entrenched now. It's
the Sharia law during Obasanjo was a political Sharia. You understand?
Yes.
Before Obasanjo, there had been Sharia. Even in the Southwest here. That's what I say. It has always been. It doesn't
stop education.
It doesn't stop education. Let me give you, there are some things that happened recently. You see some youths entering where some people wanted to do maybe birthday, wedding. They said, no, this song you are singing, is not, it's against our Islamic law. And then they demolish and destroy everything and chase people away with cutlasses, shouting, the name of their religion. They have done it once, twice, and you see their youths dressed in
so it is the responsibility of the government to stop all of that and educate them. When I say let us educate them, I don't mean that my own state governor should go and educate them. Their own state governors should take up that responsibility. We have northerners. There was a certain northern, that endowed a chair, in 3 universities in the US in excess of how many $1 billion. He could have done that in Nigeria. Atiku Abubakar has Abti American University in Adamawa. It's about one of the best in the country.
But an elitist school,
obviously. It's elitist. But then, so they should be able to replicate all of. We have very wealthy northerners.
Yes.
Base universities there. Do you know what Base University churns out? Owned by Dati Baba Ahmed. So they should do all of that. ABU is there. Barrow University. They should educate their people. We have a crop of educated northerners.
If they have the will, it's not a difficult assignment.
To keep educating themselves.
Now, I want to add something to it as a solution. Let's go to resource control. Honestly. Let's go to resource control. The moment you take out this free source of money that's always coming from the federal and going to these states, you see that most of these states in the North will be serious. You know why? Because you need to maintain your elite. You need to maintain your government. And you need money. If you now indoctrinate, you allow your citizens to be indoctrinated and they are useless, you get it. All they know is just to fight and everything. So that you will not be able to pay your salary, you will not be able to pay the elite and everything. And then people will turn against you. The same people who surround you will turn against you. You get it? But now we have free money. No matter what happens, don't worry. That money will come. I will give you your own. I will give you your own. Security votes. It's always coming in. We have security in the North. So much. And security vote has increased. And it's coming. And the question is, excuse me, what do you use the security vote for? never accounted for. It's a free money. Take the out of this free money. Okay, look at Saudi, the Dubai, Qatar, Kuwait, you know Bahrain. These are Islamic countries now, and then why are we not hearing about all these? Because they are not fanatism. They are not fanatic. This fanaticism thing is not happening there. They must make money. Nobody's bringing free money for them. The money must come in. They have to generate money from that. They are looking elsewhere from the oil because they know very soon this oil will change. It becomes something like water. You get it?
Mr. Kunda Dele here, shares their view. He talks about resource control, and that is one way it can solve a problem. Now, I'd like to go back and then come front again. Well, resource control was possible because that was what we did in the First Republic. And we were able to do a lot. I mean, UNN, UNILAG, IFE, UI.
UNILAG.
Okay, UNILAG, IFE, were all built with
Yabatech here.
Yabatech. No. Yabatech was before.
1948. It was still that time now.
And all of that. No, I'm talking about what the colonial...
After independence,
I'm talking about independence. I'm talking about
that area of independence.
So Yabatech and UI were already there.
Yes.
Before. So I'm talking about UI. So IFE and UNILAG. And in the north, you had ABU. In the southeast, you had... Nnamdi Azikiwe. With campuses scattered. We had a Jos campus that turned to become the University of Jos. You had a campus in Port Harcourt that became University of Port Harcourt. You had a campus in Calabar that became the University of Calabar, and all of that. So, because we had regional money and there was healthy competition, but above all, our leadership there was sensible. We had values, but all of that have changed with time because of what I call a permissive cornucopia. We consume a lot now. We consume a lot, and there's a lot of Western influence. Our value systems have changed. Anytime Dele raises this question, I do ask him, Dele, can you tell me how your state governor spends the internally generated revenue? It goes the same way of the federation account. So what guarantee do you have that the rocks, that the bitumen that you find in Ondo State, that if it is exploited by the Ondo State government and Ondo State people, that the governor will still not fit out with it? That is my own worry. Because you already have created a pattern of spending money. The office of the governor, very big. You have a governor that spends 5.4 billion naira running the government house from his personal house. That's my own state governor at some point. Whether he has moved to the government house now, I'm not aware. But when he started, in the first 3 months, he ran the state with 5.4 billion naira from his personal house. So how much of that will change if we get to resource control now? Because the same people, the same House of Assembly that we have about checks and balances, we still, except we are going to rewrite our constitution to the extent that, well...
I want to come in there. Okay. What I'm saying is this. It's like a company. We have many companies. Now, nobody is bringing money for you. You can either go and borrow, and when it gets to a point, they won't borrow you again. I mean, they won't lend you again. Now, that is one thing. If, like Ondo, you have bitumen, and then when you take it, no free money is coming for you. That money must be used. People will keep an eye on because they know they don't need to go to Abuja. They know that the devil they are looking at is within them.
Why are the people not keeping the eye now? Is it not their money? No, that comes from Abuja does not mean it's the governor's money.
I know what I'm saying. See, look at this. Look at Niger Delta or Lagos. You take money from here, you take it to Abuja, and then you share. Now,
what do they do with their 13%?
I'm coming. Wait, it is easy to distract anybody. With Abuja,
what do they do with their 13% realization?
What I'm saying is distraction. See, it's easy to distract anybody with Abuja now. You say, Abuja, why is everybody talking about it? Nobody's talking about it. Even the councillor.
Why are they talking about Abuja? NDDC has got more than 30 trillion naira for the number of years it has existed. What did they do with that money?
It's because that
trend to Niger Delta
the trend has always been like that. You get it? The trend is that everything is coming from Abuja. We must face Abuja. That's why the president is saying, I'm giving more money to the states now.
Let's move on because we won't finish discussing Nigeria's insecurity.
But the next one you are moving on to is still Nigeria's problem.
No, I talk about Nigeria's insecurity. Let's move on to politics, the ADC politics. Still front page of the Punch. ADC will go for presidential primary if consensus fails. That's by article. Opposition crisis is self-inflicted. That's APC chair tells ADC.
Well, I think we have dwelled much on this in the previous program, but the catch here is Atiku is just being clever by half. is intent on being on the ballot as presidential candidate of ADC. And I don't see, except something unnatural happens, I don't see him dropping that ticket for anybody. Except if we want to delude ourselves that Atiku, with all the resources he has put in place and his forever ambition to be in Aso Rock, even if for just 1 hour, he will drop that ticket. So whoever is planning or whoever is conjuring, I'm ceding this ticket to you, better banish that thought because it's not going to happen.
Well, yes, this is, I think we spoke about it during the morning show. When you make your opinion and you end up saying people that think contrary are deluding themselves, I think it's a bit insulting and derogatory because you are entitled to your opinion. So when you say that people that disagree with you are...
I'm not saying people disagree.
You see anyone that thinks otherwise...
Listen.
Anyone that thinks otherwise is
maybe deluding themselves.
That's what I'm saying now.
And what I'm saying is that I am sure of what Atiku is like.
So anybody that thinks not what you think is deluding himself.
Maybe deluding himself.
Okay, exactly the point. So what I'm saying is maybe we use a better word that because people are all entitled to their opinion. Yes. Now, going forward about the ADC thing, I would like to talk about what the APC chairman said, that is self-inflicted. I do agree with him at some point. It's self-inflicted, but you also have external forces, trying to put the spanner in their works of the ADC. I asked my guest on my show yesterday, in all honesty, do you think that the ADC hasn't made mistakes in the process, leading up to all of these filing papers and national convention, changing of leadership? He said, yes, that they might have made mistakes, that they didn't do their groundwork, they didn't conduct due diligence and all of that. Acceptable, They might have made mistakes, but all those mistakes now, some people also agree that we have external forces, trying to filter or infiltrate the ADC. Because everything out there is in the public. Bala Nafiu Muhammad accepted everything. He signed off, resigned. The affidavit is with the court. It's been sent to INEC. INEC has confirmed all of this. So why is INEC doing double speak now? That is the question Nigerians are asking.
That's where I'm going, exactly.
That is the question Nigerians are asking. So who is funding him?
See,
who is supporting him? Who is doing all of this? I don't know. But some people are saying it's the ruling party. I don't have facts to that. They are speculating. Atiku said pointedly, APC, Tinubu government, you are the one causing problem in the ADC. Because we have a situation where when it comes to ADC, the court gives something different from what it gives for PDP, and INEC keeps short. So if you put all of these things together, you don't need to travel far, to understand or just think maybe and just maybe that there could be some, external influences causing the problem.
It's not even maybe. There's clearly external forces. You know what? And the external forces, one of them is the ruling party. Because all the umpire, is elected or selected by the ruling party. So if there's a problem in that area, we say see what to cause. Because you are the one who put him there. Now, INEC chairman is not put there by me or the Senate. Is selected by the president. So if there's a problem with such a person, we'll talk to the person who put him there. Sorry, the person who put there is here. See what he's doing. Chief Justice of the Federation. It's done by the president. So if you have issues in the judiciary, we'll say, sir, the people you put there is... So it's either he says, okay, I'll look into it, and then if there's anything, you take them out and put another person, or you say, no, I continue with what I have. So saying that the ruling party has hand in it is not a problem. You know why? Because when they did their that program on the 2nd of July, everybody were there that's supposed to be there. Now, if somebody else, who's aggrieved, now go to court, I expected INEC to say that, but I was part of that meeting, that program, I was there, I witnessed that it was peaceful, you were there too. That is Bala, you were there. You didn't complain, you didn't say anything, and then now you are talking, no, I will remain, pending if the court now says otherwise. But for you now to quickly say, okay, I'm taking the name out, something you witnessed and it was peaceful. What else do they want? What else does the INEC want? You witnessed something that was peaceful. Even the agreed person was there from the beginning to the end. He was even introduced. He wasn't sleeping. He was introduced, he raised his hand, he greeted everybody, and then you get it. And then you came out, and then you now say something otherwise. You can see that INEC itself is trying, is tilted. And, you know,
before we move on, beyond what INEC is doing, look at the events leading up to the convention. You know, first of all, they pressured Transcorp Hilton to cancel the venue. Transcorp did. They started looking they applied, you know, for Eagle Square. Wike said they didn't send any application. They released the application with a stamp received by the governor, by the minister's office. They looked for the stadium. They pushed back. At some point, in fact, 12 hours to the event time, you know, Wike was still putting pressure on Rainbow Event Center to cancel. Otherwise, he will revoke. Is that not the government? Wike doesn't belong to the APC, but he worked for the government of the Federal Republic. So why are they trying to stop the ADC convention? Why? If you think that you have done so well for the people, allow your work to speak for you. So why are you jittery? Why are you trying to put a spanner in their works? You know, they go here, you go against them. They go here, you go against them. You know, just trying to create a semblance of, well, ADC is disorganized. They don't know what they are doing. This power play. They are struggling. People are even more concerned about, people that don't belong to the ADC are more concerned about who becomes the presidential candidate of the ADC. Allow them to sort their problems out.
That's true. Let's just move on.
Let's just move on.
This ADC matter, it can never end in a hurry. Front page of The Guardian, let's take on 3 business stories. Fresh concerns over overfunding risk as Nigeria's public debt hits 159.28 trillion naira. Africa scouts $120 billion for 6 Dangote-sized refineries to hedge energy crisis. And the last one, Keyamo laments $2.5 billion maintenance costs as United Airlines records 5th bed strike.
Daily reported business.
Which one are we looking at? Is it the Keyamo story? Or
okay, maybe you should start with Keyamo. Or which would you, anyone really?
We can tie the Keyamo story with the energy sector.
Yes.
As exemplified by Dangote. For me, Dangote is a businessman and he has every right to expand his empire. And if he's still a lone player, the earlier he maximizes his gain, the better for him. Until when other players start coming in and then try to break his monopoly. That is business. It may not go down well, but he's a businessman and he wants to make money at all costs. So if he's trying to raise, for instance, this is a shareholder in one of his companies, the sugar plant. His shareholder just approved 500 billion naira rice, rice issue for him, and just to expand the sugar component of his business. So it's a normal thing for him to do that. But if it's possible for us to go into that Keyamo story, what is the essence of this 2.5 billion? And what are we deploying it to?
Okay, so he says there's a loss of over $2.5 billion yearly to foreign maintenance providers by African airlines. That's what he's saying.
Yeah. You see, I recall that there was a time in the aviation industry that a particular minister mooted the idea of having a hangar for D check and C check. But somehow, that process was stalled. Today, I doubt if there's any African airline that has that facility. And aviation is such a regulated environment that if you have aircraft and you put new parts in that aircraft,
old aircraft,
and you refuse to fly for a stipulated time, they will not say because you didn't fly with that particular part is still intact. You must go for check and change that part. You know, this is different from you having a car. Chukuma may be in Lagos for 1 year and his car is in Enugu and nobody touches it. The day he gets to that car, once it's cranked and it starts, Chukuma continues. He doesn't need to go for servicing, especially if he has just serviced before he left it in Enugu. But it's not the same thing as aircraft. Fly, you don't fly, you must go for the check.
And you must pay.
And you must pay.
For parking. For landing, you pay. For parking, you pay.
So,
for flying, you pay.
So the C check too, you must do. Either you fly or you didn't fly. So that is where you have this huge loss. You understand? But those airlines abroad, they have it local. And imagine at the rate of 1,350 to $1, and they say you should come and pay $1 million for D check. That's over $1 billion. What is the market opportunity that we have here for an airline to take an aircraft for D check? Maybe in 3 years or so. How much are the airlines making in Nigeria? What is the volume of traffic? So that's why some of these airlines, they cannibalize all the aircraft to put the parts in the one that is still operational.
Okay, all right then. Thank you very much. Jen, I would like to talk about the headline, the big story, which is rising public debt. Our public debt has hit 159.28 trillion naira. Now, that's a lot, 159.28 trillion naira. Just for clarity, between the time our debts were written off by the Paris and London clubs and the time Buhari left office, accumulated over time. Yeah. Jonathan, Buhari, Buhari left us at 42 trillion naira public debt exposure. Then that was in 2023. Between 2023 and April 2026, we now hit 159 trillion naira. So apparently, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has borrowed 111 trillion naira in 3 years of his administration. Now, when you ask questions, let's say infrastructure. What infrastructure? Lagos, Calabar, Coastal Highway. On the morning show, I asked Dele raised the issue of what the government has done and has done more for the south, than for the north. And I asked him, what have they done for the south? And he mentioned Lagos, Calabar, Coastal Highway. After that,
I don't really have it at top of my head, but I saw this morning, I was watching a video where this man, Umai, was mentioning roads that have been done by federal government, particularly in the southeast.
Nigerians don't see this road. The only road that is being done in the south, I just came back from the southeast and I used the roads, is reconstruction of the Enugu-Onitsha Federal Highway. The Enugu-Port Harcourt Federal Highway has been under reconstruction since I was in the university. They do one lane, allow you to use that lane. By the time they go back to the other lane, this other lane is crumbled. Yeah. You understand? In fact, from Aba, from Umuahia axis to Port Harcourt axis was done by Buhari administration, even before this administration came. The Badagry Sokoto Highway, I don't know the condition of that road. And the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway, 47 kilometers. By the way, there was a video that Dele sent me. Nigerians have already started vandalizing, the rails, the barricades, and all of that. So in all of this, what have we done with 117 trillion naira? That's the question.
Minus the internally generated revenue and some other...
Customs met their target, yes. NPA met their target, oil revenues. Now, our president has ordered the NNPCL, royalties and all of that. Don't pay into NNPCL again. Pay direct to FAC and Federal Allocation Account Committee. Pay to FAC so that at the end of every month, they will share between the state. The states gets, the federal government gets 52.68. The states get 27.62, while the local government get 20.67 in all of this. So between the state and the local government, the federal government still gets more. And so when we hear that the governors are getting more money, what are they doing with the money? Well, some of them are showing working, as we say in our local parlance. showing working. You know, or your state Makinde seems to be doing well.
Yeah.
Peter Amba, well trying. Alex Oti, yes. Babagana Zulu, despite all we hear about insecurity, we also hear that he's doing some good work there.
Conversely, my governor, zero.
Okay. Tell them your governor, please.
Please, help me wake up my governor. He's not doing anything. Despite 13% derivation,
what's his name?
Federal allocation. Ayedatiwa.
Lucky Ayedatiwa.
But it's now becoming Ayedatiwa.
But he built a golden gate for you.
He never built. I was in the government house last week. Nothing.
You didn't ask him.
Do I have the access?
All right, let's move on. Guardian, one of the...
I also want to say something. Before we move on, Ekunda has something to say. And so, 117 trillion naira, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, honestly. I don't know how. And because we are borrowing for the unborn generation. Beyond this, we also have our crude oil, that has been collateralized up until 2030.
By our
Mr. Integrity, So in all of this, Mr. Kundayo, please.
See, my own headache is this, with all these things. No accountability, no check balancing, nobody to account for it. Everybody is just looking. Whatever they give us is what we take. Because we talk about all these things. Somebody will say the government is doing projects, somebody will say they borrow loan, whatever. And then everything just died down within the talking. It's time we move away. I'm not saying the talking is the main thing. Without talking, nobody knows the truth. They are not educated. So talking educates the people and exposes so many things. We get. But we need to add to that talking with actions. And it's from Nigerians.
All right.
You see, one small addition to this is the fact that the emphasis should be on what specific projects are being done to at least assure Nigerians that this borrowed money is being utilized for the purpose and the benefit of the people. That's my worry. Until we get to that, we will come here and sit and begin to do calculations that does not benefit us.
And in fact, the heightened worry is that some of the headlines, for this borrowed money, it's something that you can't put your finger on.
You can't put
when they say that the borrowed money for girl child, for nutrition.
That's very blanket.
That is ambiguous.
For feeding of school children.
And then when they said they came out to justify the money, they said they were feeding school children during COVID-19.
Yes.
Were they going from house to house to feed children?
Okay, so let's move on. One of the lead stories inside the pages of The Guardian: Army lays slain officers to rest as ACF seeks tougher stand on terrorists.
Well, the ACF, there was a headline that was punchier than this. Okay. It said, according to ACF, that Nigeria is at war. Full-blown war.
Yes.
That I've said several times. So we are at war with non-state actors and all of that. So it's a big issue for us. So when we are in a state of war, what do? We have the military and all of that, and we have collaboration. So how much of this collaboration is working for us? That is the big question. We have America here, 200 of the soldiers. They said they are going to help us with intel and tactical operational support. Our president said, well, I spoke with Emmanuel Macron extensively over the weekend. That was 2 weeks ago. And he also said, well, I'm going to send equipment to you. He just came back from the UK. He also signed a security agreement. In Turkey, he was in Turkey the other time, security agreement. So in all of this, how have we been able to harness these opportunities to ensure, that we fight the terrorists? Or these equipment, when we get them, is it for regime protection or what? Or is it to protect the people? These are the questions we need to ask. The president, I see, doing a lot, like going to get all these collaborations, It's not easy to get a treaty, to get a foreign government to say, well, we are going to support you, and they put it on paper and sign off. It's a lot. It's no mean feat to achieve that. That's my area,
Okay, there's an interesting one, Mr. Daly. I would like you to touch on this. Federal government drops terrorism financing charge against Malami and Son.
Drop?
Yes.
Yes, I saw
Drops.
I think they said they are taking them back to court again.
So their trial begins May 26th.
Okay, but not terrorism financing.
Will not be there again.
They have dropped the terrorism financing
They have
charge.
dropped it. Now.
Yes.
They have dropped
But the ammunition found
It's
and
still
arms
on.
found in their home.
Yeah,
and
it's
all
still
that.
on.
ammunition and
arms and ammunition that were
Yes.
found in their house.
recovered stolen money now.
Now you see,
Life cartridges.
I don't want us to gloss over this ACF thing. Truth be told, the bulk of criminality in this country that has to do with kidnapping, terrorism, and banditry are basically from their territory. And what have they been doing to either talk to their subjects, to either de-radicalize them, or do something about it? They import, I use the word import, terrorism to the south. I've not seen a southerner pick up arms to go to the north, even as close as Kwara here, that for administrative purpose they call it northern Nigeria, or Kogi, to say you want to go and fight. Anybody that is into terrorism today are basically a northerner. What are they doing as an umbrella body of those communities? What are they doing to the cells? Telling them, it shows they are also complicit. The day Odua, look at the way the governors of Southeast went after those people that are saying sit at home.
Yeah.
If they were not intentional, if they were pampering them, today, sit at home could have even moved to sit all day and cripple the economy of the Southeast. The day the so-called militant part of Odua group went to the government house on a Saturday, said they want to go and overthrow government. All of them were rounded up in less than 24 hours. They are still in Agodi prison today. But if we had pampered them and said, these are our people, they are fighting for our cause, by now, maybe they would have overrun the Southwest. So let's not pamper these people. They have a lot to do to rein in their subjects.
Yes, I do agree with you. And unfortunately, it has become a political tool.
Yeah.
It has become a political tool,
And
which was used in 2015.
they benefit maximally
which
from
was used in 2015. And
yes,
now
that was what they used.
They are playing that card again. Unfortunately. But like you said, we have not seen somebody, how many of these terrorists that are captured, repentant terrorists, how many of them
are Southerners?
Igbo,
or
Yoruba, or Efi,
or South
names,
None.
So it's become a political tool, and until we have somebody, who feels like, well, I'm a nationalist, I'm a leader,
a statesman
that says, let us solve this problem, we will not go away from this.
All right.
In their closet, they celebrate these people.
All right. This day, one of the stories inside pages, federal government unveils 2026 outlook. 14,000 communities across 266 local governments in 33 states face high flood risk.
Every year, this thing.
That is our problem now.
Allow them.
By this time next year, we will also give out
the same story will come out.
So what do we do to solve the problem?
I wonder.
We have Ministry of Environment, don't we? We have Minister of Environment.
We have Minister of Water Resources.
We have Minister of Water Resources.
So what are they doing?
We have Works Minister. So what are they doing?
Allow them. The thing costs wahala. And private concerns were donating.
In excess of 17 billion.
And government also added its own. What have they done with that money? You hear very soon that the thing has overshot its bank and killed many people. We'll still be
in 2026.
In
2027.
Then we'll still wait for it to kill.
We'll now take people to IDP camps again.
We'll even tell people to relocate.
To highlands.
Where?
Whether now on top of mountain you go relocate to.
See, you see countries who have faced challenges like this. Netherlands, Milan, some other countries in Europe. You see the way Netherlands, 2/3 of their land, 1/3 of their land is below sea level. And they don't have issue of flooding. They used to have. But they set up machinery, they call experts, they look into it, they carry out research, and when it is raining in a land that is, I think, 15 feet below sea level, they don't have flooding. You know why? Because they have systems.
Channels.
They have not even channels.
You know, channels to drain the water.
They built boundaries that separate the land from the sea, and then they have pumps. So the moment the water level starts going up, the pump automatically start pumping it back into the sea. And land, you know what? Experts, researchers, scientists, political will, good leadership, all of them combined together here. Here in Nigeria, Ministry of Environment, you see that is one politician from one who knows, and people want under him. Many of them, they don't know anything. So how did they do anything? The only thing they look at is when it happens, they go out. There was one thing I proposed some time ago. When, you know, there are times in which Cameroon, when they release their dam, you know, this Benue is from their land, that Cameroon island. Now, when they're having issue of flooding, in order not to cause problem for their own place, they will open their own dam.
And Nigeria,
the dam will come down to Nigeria and flood our own area. Yes. We don't have any shock absorber. Now, we are having issue with Kanji Dam. You know, we're having issue with Kanji Dam. Okay. That Kanji Dam is drying. Why not create, you know, a system that will pump water into Kanji Dam? Because Kanji Dam needs water, and then the areas in Benue are having excess water. Just like what is done in Israel. Israel had to revive the Sea of Galilee when it was drying, and they had to pump water from the Mediterranean into the Sea of Galilee in order to revive that sea back. Here, everything we do is politicized. No research, nothing. You spend money, send scientists out, engineers, technicians to come up with a way so that we will not have this flooding again.
Do you know that it's a punishment to be posted to research and development? In Nigeria. In Nigeria.
Yeah, because they are starved of funds.
Once you misbehave, your CEO will just post you to go and dump him at research and development.
Meanwhile, this is the backbone.
This is the backbone of that particular agency.
In fact, of the whole country. In fact, they also they also carry out security research so across board. In fact, they do it internationally. Look at what
you know what Fortune 500 companies do is that they go to universities, you know, and they look for research centers, you know, and fund them, set up institutes, and even set up.
But our own lecturers, researchers are looking for overseas funding.
University.
No, but they also
are they doing researches inside
ETF used to get funding.
Universities you know how around California, they do a lot to aid the Silicon Valley.
Our own
that is the concept of town meeting the gown.
The gown. In our own situation, do you know what happens? The ETF, Education Tax Fund, you know, they have research grants and all of that. So the thing trickles down from the ETF, you know, to the university. Now the vice chancellor is in charge. From the vice chancellor to the dean, from the dean to the head of department, now to the lecturer. So if you have to get a defense research grant, you know, you have to settle your head of department, who settles the dean, and the dean settles the DVC academics. The DVC academics settles the VC and all of that. So if you were given like 50 million naira, at the end of the day, you might be getting something like 25 million naira.
Not even
so if you have given 25 million
that's
naira,
generous. 25 million.
Maybe like 5 million or even 2 million.
10.
You know, so that is the problem we have here.
And apart from that, do you know that some universities cannot access that fund again
because they couldn't accounted for.
They couldn't account for the previous one.
Unfortunately,
so where do we really go from here? Anyway, I think this is a good place to, call it a day on newspaper review.
On a sad note.
Yeah, I mean, have we ever ended the show on a good note?
Well, for us, bad news is good news.
It's good news. So, I mean, we have the shock absorber.
We are used to hearing bad news in Nigeria.
As a matter of fact, that's our mistake.
I mean, we have the shock absorber now, and nothing moves us again. Thank you so much, Mr. Ikundayo. Mr. Fanimo, thank you. It's always a pleasure having you.
My pleasure.
And Mr. Korea, making a comeback today?
It's at 6 o'clock. I'll return for Political Lens, and I'll travel around the country to bring you interesting, trending political stories. Join me then. Promises to be quite interesting.
Promises. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jane Ogoye, and sports is next. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Arpeon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football. And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the locker room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not 20 minutes off, please the sport.
This is African News on Voice of the People television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeat, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People television. Stay with us.
My name is Tao Familoni, and here is to Vop TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
Arararara, my name is Made Kuti, and you're watching Vop TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is Vop TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
Join us as we drive into the world of politics through insightful interviews with prominent political figures, both serving and former governors, ministers, senators, legislators, party chieftains, activists, and analysts. Get first-hand information into the decision-making processes that affect our daily lives. Highly engaging one-hour program that brings political discourse into focus.
I am Chukwuma Okoro.
Political Lens, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Join us.
In a world where power shifts with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy, and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People television. Now you have more than a voice.
Good evening, Africa. My name is Bomakore, actor, model, producer, and I'm giving a big shout out to Vop TV, man. Keep watching. Don't change the dial, and thank you, and God bless you.
My name is AY, and of course, I represent the voice of the people, and that's why I'm on VOP. AY say so.
Hi everyone, it's your girl Miriam Tima from the Real Housewives of Lagos and the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip Africa. Shout out to VOP, the voice of the people. You already know. Stay tuned, keep watching. And don't forget, VOP is the best.
Alright, hello, it's about that shagging the man fine back with Melanie Poppy Black Skin Boy. This is VOP TV. If you're not watching VOP, I don't know why you're watching. Maybe you're watching your weight. Bye.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Wale Ojo, and you're watching VOP, Voice of the People.
Hi, guys. You already know who it is. This is New Energy. Flyers, whatever, live it. Keep watching VOP TV. Thank you.
Hi, people. Jide Albano here. Guys, please keep watching Voice of the People.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector, from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
Behind every broken deck lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations, but who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, The show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on Vop TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People Television.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at Vop TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. Vop TV, Voice of the People Television.
Hello there, my name is Damilola Ogunsi, also known as the Goldfish.
Hi, my name is Chike Bright Emmanuel. I'm an actor and a filmmaker.
Hello peeps, my name is Yomi E. Adejimo.
Hi everyone, I'm Paul Utomi.
Hi everyone, my name is Stacey Benjamin and this is Voice of the People TV.
I need you to keep it locked to VOP TV. See, are you looking for good entertainment? You want to get good movies, good music, politics, talk shows, sports and entertainment. You really want a channel that gives you everything you need without you having to run around. VOP is where you are. That's Voice of the People.
If you're not listening to this, you're not one of us. And you deserve to be killed. Scrap chat. Don't be killed, but watch it. Or I'll find you. And I want you.
And you are locked on VOP TV. Don't go nowhere. This is where the juice is. This is where all you need for entertainment, politics, movies, and whatnot.
And keep watching VOP TV.
So keep it locked because I'm locked already, man, and it's money back guarantee. So you're gonna have a good time because I do.
And please keep watching VOP TV.
I won't want to actually, I beg you, subscribe, watch it. If not, whatever you see.
You better not touch that dial because VOP is the plot.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People Television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on VOP TV. Entertainment like never before.
VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
My name is Tao Familoni, and here's to VOP TV. Keep watching, stay tuned, do not touch that dial.
Arararara, my name is Made Kuti, and you're watching VOP TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is VOP TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
On VOP TV, entertainment like never before.
In a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People Television. Now you have more than a voice.
From the views on the street,
we go to bed empty hunger,
to the blaring horns of a hustling city, the loudest voices of the common man got a medium to be heard.
This particular administration, they were coming unprepared.
It's not a bad thing to renovate the president's lodge.
Through top-notch programming, unbiased reportage of news, sports, business, entertainment, and cultural documentaries, Voice of the People 90.3 FM became a symbol for 21st century media. And now, a new baby is born. Voice of the People Television, VOP TV, youthful, full of vigor and penchant for excellence in the continent's media space, exposing the wrongs, applauding the rights, dissecting the news without fear or favor, through factual and accurate stories and contents.
Corruption kills three things that makes a society.
Representing the interests of the people and giving them a voice. Voice of the People TV is here to stay towards building a fair society. PTV, Voice of the People Television, truly a voice for the people.
When the quarterfinals of the draws was made, the questions came fast, predictions filled the air, pundits dissected every angle. Some tires were labeled revenge on missions, others instant classics. Now the dust has settled and only 4 remaining. In one corner, Paris Saint-Germain faced Bayern Munich in a clash layered with unfinished business after Bayern Munich's defeat to the PSG at the Club World Cup. In the other, Atletico Madrid meets Arsenal, carrying the memory of an earlier Champions League setback this season. This is no longer about potential, no more calculations, no more safe options. This is the semi-final stage where history sharpens, pressure suffocates, and every mistake lives forever. 4 giants, 2 rivalries, one road to Budapest. The UEFA Champions League semi-final is here. Good day and welcome to Sport Republic this morning. I'm Ikechukwu Agu. Lots of conversation to actually look up to this morning. Of course, I will not be doing this alone. I have Afis in the studio. Afis, good morning and welcome to Sport Republic.
Good morning, Ikechukwu. Good morning to the viewers out there. I mean, what can we say about the UEFA Champions League? There's a lot to talk about. We saw the quarterfinals, the second leg. We saw the first part on Tuesday and the other one last night. And now we're down to the final four. Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich going back to 2020. They will play up the final potentially. And also Arsenal against Atletico Madrid. They met earlier this season. They've also met in other stages of European competition. So it's not like it's unfamiliar, fixtures or setups. It's going to be familiar setups. And let's see the two that are going to make it to Budapest.
Absolutely. Let's see those who will make it to the finals of this season's UEFA Champions League. But like I said, charity begins at home. So definitely we're taking it right there to what's going to be going down in the Super Eagles camp as we prepare for the Unity Cup. Yes, the Super Eagles coach head Eric Ikuchel has actually confirmed that several key players will be unavailable for upcoming Unity Cup in London. Of course, the defending champions of the 4-team tournament opened their campaign against Zambia. Depending on the results, they will then face either India national football team or the Jamaicans. Shell revealed that plans to reserve most of the established stars for the high-profile friendly in June against Poland and Portugal. He also added that fringe players, including talents from Nigeria Premier Football League, will be given opportunity during the Unity Cup. According to Shell, the June friendlies are important fixtures that could improve Nigeria's position in the FIFA ranking. Of course, that's a very, very massive one. A lot of us have been actually clamoring for, the Super Eagles, giving chance to the home-based players. Of course, Afis, we have it. The coach is talking about, including the home-based players this time around for the Unity Cup, and they're reserving, other players for the double-headed fixture against Poland and Portugal.
Yeah, it shows that our league is finally getting some clouds up to the coach. You remember in his 19 points wish list, he said he wants to get an opportunity to, be able to move closer to his players and scout, whether it's from the local league or even abroad. I'm glad that he's mentioning that, he wants to see players, from the NPFL, but because trust me, there are players that are actually doing well in the NPFL. There's Arumala, who's doing well for Ikorodu City. There's Godwin Obaje. There's Victor Mboma. Even the likes of Ahmed Musa and Rabiu Ali, they are still there. Even, you might say Rabiu Ali might not get to play for Super Eagles. He's already 45 and counting. But for Ahmed Musa, he might still get a chance to make a comeback through the NPFL. So there are players that are actually doing well in the NPFL. I would be glad personally if we see players from the NPFL particularly being introduced at the Unity Cup. We've seen players like Igor Obu and Benjamin Frederick shine from this Unity Cup. This would be another avenue for players either, from the local league or playing abroad to get a chance with Super Eagles of Nigeria, and let's see the next big star.
Absolutely. Let's see the next big star. Still talking about the Super Eagles player and Unity Cup related issues. Of course, the man who actually got an opportunity to be part of the Super Eagles earlier, I think it was last month when Nigeria actually played that friendly match against Jordan. His man in, hot water at this point because a lot of conversation around him. His players actually, talking about Super Eagles players, have actually rallied around, to give him support and say, hey, you are the man. We believe, we still trust your talent and your quality to deliver for the Super Eagles. And this man I'm talking about is Yura Sow, who has actually been receiving lots of accolades and, of course, encouragement from his teammate following the tournament. As he actually debuted for the Super Eagles for the game against Jordan in just the just concluded Four Nation Invitation Tournament right there in Turkey. And of course, the Genk winger actually stayed in Nigeria's match against Jordan national team, but struggled to make an impact before being substituted in the second half. A teammate said Shaw's display was affected by his limited understanding of the coach's tactics, noting that it was his first time with the squad. He also suggested that playing on the right wing may not have suited the attacker style, despite disappointing out, and the teammates expressed confidence in Shaw's quality and believes he will perform better if given an opportunity. I mean, I asked myself this question, when the story actually came up. People actually been talking about this young man. A lot of persons have been talking about how they want to see him don the Super Eagles jersey. He's here now. His very first game wasn't actually as expected. But there's something about the national team across the world. Why is it that players who are actually seen as, top talent, doing so well for their club week in, week out, whenever they put on that national jersey, there seems to be a different level of, pressure that comes with it. Most times they don't even get to live up to the billing.
Well, especially in African football, I mean, it looks like you should have a taste already of, African football. That means you have played with local league or at least played for a team in Africa or something like that before you could get to grips with how African football is being played. But I can understand there's this different level of commitment when you are donning the colors of your national team, rather than your club side. So I won't blame the So it's the first game ever for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Yes, it's been called, a lot of eyes are on him, and there's something that comes with the expectation at time. You remember, even in club football, when you are signed for a big fee, it's like all the eyes of the whole world is on you. So I think that is also what happened with Yera. So the hype has been coming. He's a PCV guy, he's fast, he's decisive, and all of that. So people wanted to see what he could do. Maybe from the first game, he couldn't really show that from the minutes he was given. I believe that with subsequent minutes, I won't say that because of that first game, he should now be asked out of the team. The likes of Moses Simon, they didn't really have a particular good game when they started for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, and they are still here. Samuel Chukwueze, you could see that he's also in and out. Now talking about the wingers now. So I feel like with more games under his belt, Yeraso will come good for Super Eagles. I want him to play more for Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Yeah, but I'm looking at, not just Yeraso now. I'm looking at players, outside the shores of Nigeria, like you said, in Africa. I remember a certain Giovanni Elba, who was actually the talisman for Bayern Munich at the time, doing a lot of good job for them up front. But then when he puts on the jersey of the Celestial, it's actually a very different player at the time. But then we also have players who actually are very different, at different level playing for the national team. But at the club level, they don't really replicate that.
Exactly.
But the thing is, when they don't even really replicate that from a club level, they still get their time to stay and play more games. But for the national team, it seems the pressure is actually different. It seems there's really no time for you to actually get another opportunity. What exactly is the problem with the players who actually do these things?
If you look at the big countries, big countries for example, like France, the Brazils, the Germanys of this world, if you don't strike when the iron is hot, if you don't make hay while the sun shines, you have the opportunity and you don't take it with your two hands, there's somebody in the wings that is waiting on you. Or like the Super Eagles in recent times, where we see unattached players even coming to come and play for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. We see players that are not even starting in their clubs that still feel like, okay, when I give one good performance for the Super Eagles of Nigeria, I will still be called up. Even if my performance is not that good, if I just manage to get into the good books of Nigerians, I'll play again. So I think that's just the difference in the national team quality. But normally, there's something about just representing your national team, the colors of the fatherland or motherland, whatever the case may be. There's just something about it. It brings this different level of commitment. Sometimes, just like you said, you might not be doing well at your club, but when you get to your national team, you have the opportunity to play. You want to show that, in this case, 250 million Nigerians, that you can actually do well. So I think it's just that commitment level that brings the difference in their performances.
So you're talking about commitment level that brings the difference. Now, I'm looking at, the fans' pressure, right? Why is it that, because these same people who actually support the national team also have their club side that they support.
But it's different.
Right?
There are different club sides. When it comes to the national team, it's not 250 million Nigerians that supporting one club. But this time around, you are playing for the Super Eagles, for Nigeria. Look at the World Cup qualifiers, where you see the likes of Nwabali concedes goals at Chippa United. But when it comes to the national team, it tends to have this belief about him, and you could see it. When during the World Cup qualifiers, you could see the players. I remember the game, was it against Benin Republic now, where we played? It was 4-0. You could see that these players had this pressure. They want to play. They were so eager, to do well, because they feel like the eyes of 200 and something million Nigerians are watching them. So it's just that pressure from people back home. It's not like when we are playing for Galatasaray. How many Nigerian fans are actually supporting Galatasaray? If you look at it.
But if you say that, right, you also need to actually look at the fan base of Galatasaray across the world. They also have huge number, right?
But not like the nation you are from. And you can't compare. You can't compare like winning the league, Galatasaray, and qualify for the World Cup.
But in the end, right? But in the end, the pressure or the decisions of who plays and who doesn't lies on the coach. And if the coach of the national team decides to actually give you another try, but he definitely will. But it seems like every single time there's an error with the national team, coaches tend to actually want to stay away from it.
Exactly. But let me take you back to 1994. When Escobar, the Colombian, is late now, God rest his soul. When he did what he did, when it happened, the unfortunate happened, at the World Cup in 1994. When he got back home, they told him not to go out. And that was Colombia, not even for his club. They told him not to go out. And when he did, he didn't listen. We saw what happened. The unfortunate happened. So I think the national team is just different. You are playing for your whole country. That's why sometimes I used to I don't get into the discussion where people compare the World Cup and the Champions League. For me, they are both big. But I will pick the World Cup over the Champions League, because it is the World Cup. You are playing for your country. It's different.
Absolutely, it's actually very different. Of course, away from national team football talk, let's go straight to Europe. And one man is actually in regret. The man who is actually the president of Napoli, in the person of Aurelio De Laurentiis, has actually admitted he regrets rejecting €200 million joint offer from Paris Saint-Germain for Victor Osimhen and Picha Kvaratskhelia. The two stars played major roles in Napoli's historic Serie A title-winning campaign, ending the club's 3-year wait for the league crown. De Laurentiis revealed that the offer arrived when Antonio Conte took charge, but the coach reportedly open to Osimhen's exit, but keeping Kvaratskhelia. However, Napoli's chief turned down the bid, a decision he now says proved costly after later disputes with Kvaratskhelia father and agent over the player's future. Kvaratskhelia eventually joined PSG for a fee reported to be below €100 million, while Osimhen later moved to Galatasaray for a lower amount than the original combined. I don't think we're going to hear the last of this particular Napoli incident, because every single time it reminds me of a very bad place to do business, because they have this very funny way of actually keeping players and then making them feel like they haven't actually done anything. I mean, this actually were the two biggest stars for their team when they actually did that 33-year wait. But now the man is ruining his regret, saying that he should have actually taken the opportunity when he actually did. And I don't think he's going to actually have big superstars leaving the club in the next couple of years.
Yeah, bravo to him for him to actually even come out and express what even happened behind the scenes. A lot of Nigerians actually reacted for things we didn't really know, that happened behind the scene. But at the same time, I still see regrets and him crying over spilt milk already. At the time, he made it known to a certain Antonio Conte that Victor Osimhen is not going to play for this club because of maybe what had happened, the backlash from the coconuts, video and all of that. So Antonio Conte actually wanted to keep Osimhen. He just came in, he wanted to use Osimhen going forward, combining maybe with a certain Kvaratskhelia and all of that. But they've already made it known to him that, look, this man is not part of the squad. And he didn't want him to just rot away on the bench. So he gave an advice to the owner that, look, let him just go. If you know you're not going to use him, let him go. I remember a lot of Nigerians that were also bashing Conte that he didn't want to use Osimhen. We can see now that that's not the case. Conte wanted to actually, keep Osimhen, but he's saying that, look, you can't go on my bench because I know your quality. Right? And eventually, De Laurentiis, we know, is a very, very tough negotiator. At the time, there was Juventus, there was Paris Saint-Germain, there was Saudi Arabia. We saw those deals as well. There was Chelsea. At least allow this player, to leave for one of those. Eventually, Kvaratskhelia left for Paris Saint-Germain, a treble winner. Who knows what the story could have been with Victor Osimhen? He might also be celebrating a treble at this point in time. But at the end of the day, let's just move forward. Now he's in Turkey. He might win the league again this season. He won the league last season. He finished as the top scorer. I mean, better days for him. I still feel like he's still going to play for a club in the top 5 leagues of European football. But what has happened at Napoli has happened. But trust me, like you said, he's not looking like a good environment. The player that they used to replace Victor Osimhen, Romelu Lukaku, is also still having issues with the club now. He's not even turning up for training. So what's going on? I don't want to go into players of color this time around. But generally, the way things turn out, especially for with players for Italian clubs, it doesn't seem to be very, very interesting.
Talking about Italian club, we also have our own Ademola Lookman. He's doing so well, very well settled right there in Madrid. But he also had this similar incident in Bergamo after he actually led them to European glory. Exactly what will you say is the problem with the way they manage the club side? Is it the fact that after a major tournament they seem to be too attached to a player, or is it that they look at you and say, okay, maybe your quality or your price tag should actually bring us more money, and then they start frustrating players?
Player management. Let's bring it down to the Serie A now in context. I think player management sometimes is very, very different there. Maybe when you give good performances, you can't blame them. Fans, let me start from fans now. Fans are actually momentary. If you do well, when you perform well, they treat you well. When you have a dip in performance, they come to talk, right? You can't blame them fairly because they pay to watch you. Normally, they can give their own opinions about your performance and all of that. But it now shows your professionalism that also in that kind of situation where you already know what's going on in that kind of environment and that situation, you don't place yourself too much to them. Don't get too attached. Show that sign that you can leave anytime. And I will come back to the Ademola Lookman one. I also mentioned here on this show and also on our sister program that, look, you don't give gentleman agreements. not in 2025 or even in big 2026. The gentleman agreement that he had, he showed the love for the club. He signed the contract that he didn't even put pen. So he just said, look, I agree. Whatever he say, I agree. I just want to play. Eventually backfired. But I'm grateful that he's now out of that situation. But like I said earlier, the way players are being managed is just a bit different. They just say you that, okay, you are going to use it for this certain time. We can dispose of you anytime. So it's now up to you to, use your initiative and look like, okay, I can also use you guys to build up myself and I can leave anytime I want.
So what exactly should be the lessons, for these players? I mean,
don't get too attached.
Yes. I mean, these players, Victor Osimhen, and of course, even the club itself. Because I'm also not sure, or I want to believe that the clubs are not, happy to be in this sort of waters. Because no matter how, you want to actually look at it, it's actually a brand, it's denting their brand, and players will definitely be worried about coming to, play for that particular team. But so what exactly should be the lessons for the players and for the club side?
I think the reality now is, we can all agree that there's no such thing as loyalty again in football. You can leave anytime. You can leave anytime. I remember 2008, a lot of Manchester United fans were, shouting at Cristiano Ronaldo that why did he leave? But I mean, when there's a bigger offer, you tend to leave. You don't tie your future to a club where you know that you still have an offer to go to a bigger club or something like that. Look at what happened with Kylian Mbappe and Paris Saint-Germain. A lot of people were blaming him for his disloyalty to Paris and all of that, but he left on the free. Trent as well with Liverpool to Real Madrid and all of that. So for me, I think, especially for Nigerian players, just try to do your thing, sign your contract, know your contract to the letter, obey your contract. When it's time to leave, you leave on good terms and don't have issues with the club.
For the players. Now for the club, what's the lesson?
Well, for the club, I think you should just respect the contract of the players and don't just try to sign players to contracts that they can easily get out of. Case in point, Chelsea. Look at what's happening with Enzo Fernandez. Because they spoke up about a particular discussion linking him to Real Madrid and all of that, he made a statement. He didn't say he wants to leave the club, actually, in that statement. But then, he's still tied to a long contract. Contract might tie him down. So I feel just respect the player's contract.
But I think for the case of Enzo Fernandez, he was just talking about the beautiful life, the scenery in Madrid. He would like to live in that sort of city. And then they actually interpreted it as him.
Well, we know.
Wanting.
We know.
Well,
we know.
I mean,
we know that when you say you want to live in Madrid, we know he's not even Atletico Madrid. But we know it is Real Madrid.
But the truth is when we talk about football, when we talk about making moves. Yeah. When Madrid calls, when Barcelona calls, it's difficult. It's
very
really
difficult.
Extremely difficult for you to actually want to leave. Yeah. Except at the time, if your club is actually at the summit of football. Like, for example, at some point, say about 2 years ago, Man City was at the summit. If you want to leave Man City at that point, people will ask you where are you headed.
Where are you headed?
Because, at that time, it feels like,
But it's still Real Madrid anyway. Yeah. It's Real Madrid or Barcelona. I remember Rafinha, when it was about leaving Leeds United. Chelsea were in the running. Chelsea were about to pay a fee. I think Barcelona paid even less than Chelsea. He said his heart was with Barcelona. Kunde too, I remember he also said he wanted to leave. Chelsea was also in the running, but he left for Barcelona. So I think it's just something about those two clubs. And even Manchester United in England as well. Yeah. Remember when Pogba joined, they were in the Europa League.
Zlatan
Ibrahimovic, and they still went on to win that Europa League. Look at Angel Di Maria. Manchester United will still attract names, even with any situation they are in. It's just what the club has done.
It's all about the tradition they've actually
just the tradition.
So still talking about European football, now let's go straight to what really went down last night. Barcelona out of the UEFA Champions League, like we know already. And of course, Bayern Munich also sent packing the other Spanish giant in Real Madrid. And Arsenal edged Sporting as they prepare for Manchester City over the weekend. So let's talk about this. Bayern Munich defeats Real Madrid. You saw it coming.
Yeah.
And was the scoreline particularly what you actually...
Absolutely. Big respect to Real Madrid. I wasn't expecting Real Madrid to actually defend. I was expecting them to actually come all out. I thought it was going to be much tougher than that because it's the Allianz Arena and they already got the advantage at the Bernabeu. But Bayern Munich also still showed that, look, we can do it. And we are a big team. Big respect to Bayern Munich. Vincent Kompany, I know a lot of people are still questioning maybe he's just being blessed with the quality. He might not really be a good manager tactically, but then leave all of that aside. That team is just fantastic. Look at the goal they scored. Look at that corner from Joshua Kimmich for Pavlovic to put in. Harry Kane, striker's instinct, brilliant goals. Michael Olise, Luis Diaz, they're just blessed with quality. It's no surprise they only lost one game in the league phase, and that was to Arsenal. Deservedly so, because Arsenal were actually in form at the time. So, but for Real Madrid as well, they looked down, when they lost at the Bernabeu, but they still took the ball and said, look, it is our birthright. There's a reason why we are 15-time Champions League winners. and we can do this again. Kylian Mbappe suddenly turned up. You know, he got his goal. Vinicius Junior, maybe not really a good performance, but gave an assist. Adagula, some shots. I mean, Manuel Neuer is still Manuel Neuer. Look at that save he made from Kylian Mbappe. So for me, crazy game, insane game, something that you should expect in the final. That was a final that was played yesterday, you know, at the Allianz Arena in Germany. But then it is what it is. They made the quarterfinal stage. Real Madrid. I mean, I always say something that the only Champions League game Real Madrid can lose is the final. If you want to beat Real Madrid, just beat them at the knockout stages or in the group phase or in the league phase, whatever the case may be at this time. But at the final, I think that's the only game Real Madrid can't lose.
So where exactly did Real Madrid lose this tie?
This time around?
Yeah, where did they lose this tie? This particular
tie. For me, I don't see anything that they lost in that tie until that red card. I think that game was actually going to get into extra time, or Real Madrid was still even going to score more. And also, maybe if Rodrigo was fit, unfortunately he's not, that right-hand side looked a little bit, clueless at some point. There was nobody there to really support Trent Alexander-Arnold. Brahim Diaz was not really doing so good, at the time he had to be hooked off. But then a certain Mastantuono came on, but it proved a little bit too late. I won't say Bayern Munich had too much quality over Real Madrid. No, I won't say that. I think they just went pound for pound. It could have gone into extra time or even penalties, but the red card just changed everything. Just like, it can change a game of football. For me, look at Bayern Munich sparked into life after the red card. Luis Diaz even said it, after he won the game, that look, he spoke to his teammate that it's his time to win because they're already down, they're wounded. And they hurt them real bad. And Michael Olise also putting in the fourth goal, and on they go to Paris Saint-Germain.
But how much of a miss was Aurelien Tchouameni?
Tchouameni was a miss. It was a big miss in the midfield. Yes, I can say that maybe if you want to pick out where they now lost that time, maybe in the midfield, it wasn't the same with Tchouameni. But then Camavinga was expected to do well. It just lets the emotions get better of him, and holding on the ball too long. I know a lot of people are still questioning the card and all of that. Some are even saying it's a harsh decision, but at the time, we should know that you're already on the yellow card. And the referee will act on his own impulse as well. And he did, and he gave the red.
Let's talk about the man, Olise. I mean, making that big move from a side that was almost invincible in the Premier League, looking at Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
And now himself and Eze has become two huge giants for Champions League semi-finalists this season. Let's talk about the man, Olise.
I mean, Michael Olise, what more can you say about him? Last season, he gave good performances. A lot of people still believe that he could do more, and has certainly done more this season as well. Brilliant assist. I think he has about 6 goals or 6 goal contributions in the Champions League. Brilliant from the man. Another beautiful goal again, reminding you of a certain Arjen Robben. Arjen Robben will cut in from the left-hand side and he won't stop it. And I think that's the same thing Michael Olise is also on as well. But the difference is that he can also take on his man. He can give assist as well. Very intelligent player. He gave good passes in that game. I won't say terrorized Ferland Mendy, but at least he also gave him flashbacks of what he gave a certain Alvaro Carreras in the first leg, even though Mendy stood his ground, better than Carreras at this time. But Michael Olise still proves that he's a threat. The question still gets asked to me that, is it better than Lamine Yamal? For me, I think it's close. I think it's actually very, very close, because but I was still slightly tend towards Lamine Yamal now. Maybe because of that performance against Atletico Madrid.
Absolutely.
Yamal is a different beast. And he's just 18.
Yeah.
But for a certain Michael Olise, who is slowly getting towards his peak, what a player, fantastic. You can run out of adjectives for the man. Fantastic player.
Now let's look at both managers.
Yeah.
Abeloa, Vincent Kompany, both of them, yes, you want to say Vincent Kompany has slight advantage when it comes to being exposed to this
and he has coached
stage. Yes,
he
has actually coached in the Premier League before. I mean, yes, in the Premier League and of course the Championship. Now he's actually playing at the biggest stage, which is UEFA Champions League, with a very top team with huge tradition, just like Abeloa. Now, the both of them actually, I was actually expecting something different, really. I was expecting Bayern Munich having won the very first leg, and of course with the record that, right at the Allianz Arena, in the last 4 meetings, they failed to actually defeat Real Madrid. Real Madrid actually won.
I think it's their first quarterfinal
victory. Winning, yes, in the last 5 games. So they struggled to always win at the Allianz Arena. Yeah. So I was expecting Kompany to actually look back and say, you know what, I would rather sit back and hit on transition and have the players that can really get the goal. But I love the fact that he came all out, opening it affair. If he had decided to actually sit back and hit on transition, what do you think the result of the game would have been?
For Abeloa?
For the both of them.
For both of them.
For the match, right?
For the match. If Abeloa was sitting back.
No, if Kompany decided to sit back and hit on transition. I don't think
Kompany was going to sit back. They're at home and they're already leading the contest.
Yeah, I'm looking at the fact that
it will have been disastrous. I think Real Madrid will come at them and score goals. it would have been disastrous. I don't think they will want to eat on the counter like that. It would have been very disastrous. They had to come out. Bayern Munich, you will hardly see Bayern Munich sit back for any other team to come at them. Bayern Munich will rather come at you. And that defense is not really the best at this point in time. Jonathan Tah and Dario Upamecano can come up with a moment of madness or of error. And he almost cost them yesterday. Vinicius Junior, if he had quite more sharper, he would have gotten a goal. And of course, they have a certain Manuel Neuer, but he's already 40 years old. Trust me, they'll be looking forward into the future now. But that centre-back pairing of Jonathan Tah and Dario Upamecano, going forward, they have to be more careful. PSG is going to be a different beast. With the likes of Dembele, Bradley Barcola, Due, Kvaratskhelia, I think it's going to be different from what Real Madrid, did last night or even over the 2 legs. So for me, I think Bayern Munich going forward should treat that defense. But I don't think Bayern Munich will actually want to sit back. They will attack.
So let's look at the midfield, because that was where the real battle is. Aaron Tchouameni absent in that particular game.
Yeah.
There's Federico Valverde, who is actually a Trojan, doing all of the dirty works in the middle, mopping cutting every single grass in the middle of the park.
Yeah.
And of course, there was Joshua Kimmich, whose ability cannot be questioned. He's a top player.
Yeah.
We saw the midfield battle, right? If Bayern Munich, of course, not now because they've actually qualified. Bayern Munich against PSG, against, the João Neves, and of course, Vitinha.
Yeah.
Maybe if Fabian Ruiz finds his way back,
it will be Zaire. I think
or Zaire. Either the three of them, right, in that part, in that midfield. Who do you think is going to come up on top?
That midfield battle. I think that is what I want to watch.
So I saw the World Club Cup game.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And I saw how Bayern Munich actually, lost that game.
Yeah.
After
even with 2 red cards.
After Musiala actually got that start, injured. His leg broken. But they actually gave a very good show of themselves, right? And from that World Club Cup down to this, semi-final that we're actually expecting to see.
Did they meet at the league phase?
No, they didn't.
Where Luis Diaz got a red card? When Luis Diaz got a red card for fouling Hakimi. Yeah, they met.
Is it this season?
Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm actually looking at the progression of Bayern Munich under Vincent Kompany from that Club World Cup game down to this particular moment.
Yeah.
Right. How much of a growth have you seen? Are they prepared to face the defending champion and the World Cup Club Cup runner-up?
There's been growth. There's been changes. You could see a certain Michael Olise now, coming into his own. And yes, from the midfield, Joshua Kimmich might be looking like he's on his last legs, but they still have bodies. The likes of Konrad Laimer is still there. The likes of Alexander Pavlovich, who for me I think is the future of German midfield. I would love to see that midfield at the World Cup for Germany. I think with players like this, likes of Pavlovich, Kimmich, Jamal Musiala, Florian Wirtz, Robert Andrich, and Angelo Stiller, I think Germany now has a big case, at the World Cup as well with their midfield. So Alexander Pavlovich playing for Bayern Munich has been fantastic as well. I think there's more progression now, even though that defense still needs to be fixed. And Paris Saint-Germain as well, you can agree that they are not the same side from last season. But right now, that as they are advancing, into the semi-finals of the Champions League now, they are a different beast. Look at the way they played against Liverpool as well over the 2 legs. It still shows that, they are still showing why they are the defending champions of the UEFA Champions League at the moment. So, yes, from that game at the Club World Cup, maybe it's a fact that, it happened during the preseason. It looked like, a different ball game. I mean, look at Paris Saint-Germain. Was it the same Paris Saint-Germain that played in the final that turned up against Chelsea over 2 legs in the Champions League in the round of 16? No. So for me, I think Bayern Munich right now, they would see that game and say, look, we can do better this time around. If the likes of Luis Diaz, Serge Gnabry, Jamal Musiala, and Michael Olise, even Harry Kane are on form, I think it's going to be a very, very different game from the one we saw at the Club World Cup.
Absolutely, it's going to be a very different game from the one we saw at the World Cup. And of course, it promises to be a game that's going to produce a lot of goals because they both have attackers that are,
and nobody's going to sit back for each other.
Absolutely. I also want to believe that nobody's going to actually sit back for either of the side.
Yeah.
Yes, you're very correct. They actually played, in the group stage.
In
yes,
the league phase,
of course. So, but then we're expecting to actually see something very interesting.
Yeah.
This particular season, semi-finals. But let's look at the second, game that was actually played last night. Arsenal against Sporting CP. There was a lot of caution from Arsenal's Mikel Arteta, the way he actually set up the player.
Yeah.
There's a lot of holdback from Arsenal. I think they went into that game with a lot of conservation, to conserve a lot of energy.
Really?
Yes, that's exactly what I saw. But then, of course, you can tell me what you saw. Because of the reason for them being conservative is because of the game for the.
But they could have been hurt. It was 1-0. You can't be conservative at 1-0. And it's a Sporting side that almost beat you black and blue, if not for your goalkeeper. So for me, I think they should have attacked more. And Arsenal going forward, I know a lot of people have been talking about their football, but now I think they're just inching towards getting results. It's result business. Was it interesting? No. Was it beautiful on the eye? No. But was it effective? Yes. I think Arsenal are going more for the effective than for the interesting or beautiful to the eye, fantastic football. No, I don't think that's where Arsenal are at right now. Now they're in the semi-finals. They are playing against a side that they've met earlier at the league phase. They won 4-0. It was 0-0 at the first half, and Arsenal came on to score 4 goals now. A lot of Arsenal fans, if you ask them now, Atletico Madrid or Barcelona, they will tell you Atletico Madrid because they can actually play the same style, right? And you know the style I'm talking about. This Diego Simeone style and the new style that Mikel Arteta has also brought in this season as well. They can understand each other. When Arsenal needs to attack, they will attack. When they need to defend, they will defend. So it's going to be a different game as well. I won't say it's going to be the same game as the league phase. This is the semi-final. Last season, Arsenal met Paris Saint-Germain at the league phase. They defeated them 2-0. Met at the semi-final and we knew what happened. At the time, Kvaratskhelia wasn't even involved in the game at the league phase. Ademola Lookman wasn't involved in the 4-0 win for Arsenal at the Emirates, in the league phase as well. Now it's in the semi-final. It's going to be different. And this is a chance to play either PSG or Bayern in the UEFA Champions League final. So both teams are going to approach the game with caution. Will I be seeing a different approach from Mikel Arteta? It depends on what happens in the Premier League. Because right now, I can still sit here and tell you that those Arsenal players, they don't have the mental fortitude to battle on both fronts. If you look at the way they played yesterday, they just wanted to qualify. It got to a point where they looked lost. The likes of Martinelli, they just wanted the game to end. They didn't want to concede from Sporting CP, but going forward, it looked also messy as well. So for me, I think the Arsenal players right now, they just want to end the season as champions of either the Premier League or the Champions League. Trust me.
So, you talk about Arsenal's mental, strength at this point, and going to a game against a manager. I'm talking about Pep Guardiola now, who understands, the mind game, who also understand how to actually either defeat you even before the game because of the things he will say to you, and also who also understand how to actually read, the attitude of players. Now, what should Arsenal, Mikel Arteta do, between now and the weekend to actually bring them back to the level we actually saw them in the beginning of the season, where every single team don't want to actually play them. But when they were actually like the boogie team in the Premier League, when they were like, the most hated team, we don't want to see these guys, they find a way to grind results. Because at this point, right, for me, whether people like it or not, I want to believe that the only thing that goes into history is the result of a game. So if Arsenal can find a way to grind it, so how are they going to grind it right there at Etihad against a side that is actually gunning for it? Right there, the biggest competition, knowing that if they defeat Arsenal, is going to be just 3 points, bearing their game against Crystal Palace. How do you expect Mikel Arteta to actually navigate this one?
For me, I don't think Arsenal want to play for 3 points. I don't think anyone should expect Arsenal to play something way different from what they've been playing this season. I think they will approach the Manchester City game just like they've been approaching other games, and they'll be more conservative. You spoke about being conservative at the Sporting game. I think they'll be more conservative now. They are at the Etihad, is an away ground. City are going to come at them. They will expect Manchester City to come at them. City will out-possess them. The way Manchester City are right now, they are only battling. Yes, there's the FA Cup, but you can see they are still battling on majorly the Premier League. They know they are the one chasing now, and they know where Arsenal are at, in the Champions League as well. Arsenal are in the semi-finals of the Champions League. They will be thinking about that while they are also playing against them, on Sunday as well. So for me, I think Mikel Arteta, yes, when he was asked in the press conference, he said there's fire in his belly now, but I don't expect them to go to the Etihad and go and attack Manchester City outrightly. I think they will still want to stick to the way they've been playing whenever their backs are against the wall. But what I just want them to change is that they shouldn't be like a one-half team. When you look at Arsenal against big teams this season, first half, either they attack well, then sit back in the second half, or they sit back in the first half and attack well in the second half. It depends on where the result goes, in those halves. you might attack well and don't score goals. Trust me, if Arsenal attacks very well in the first half and they don't get to score goals, trust me, Arsenal might not even get a goal in that game at the end of the day. It happened at the Carabao Cup final. It happened against Liverpool at the Emirates, even at Anfield. So for me, I think they will go into that game and just try to go toe-to-toe with Manchester City, not attack-wise, but just show that, look, we can still get to grips. Maybe a draw. I think they'll be very, very happy with a draw, Arsenal.
Martin Zubimendi got the Man of the Match award.
Yeah.
Same as, Ulisse, who got, a Man of the Match in the first leg. He did it again in the second leg. Martin Zubimendi was a man who got a lot of stick, for Arsenal after their, loss to Bournemouth in that particular league game. Now he actually stepped up the plate. I mean, is it a sign that Arsenal's players have actually decided to elevate their mental level? Because now, if a player who was, who got that huge, terrible reaction in that particular league game, come into a UEFA Champions League game, in the midweek and, give this sort of performance, I want to believe that something is actually happening right there in the camp of the Gunners.
Ikechukwu, the pressure is different. I mean, this
but the Champions League offers bigger pressure.
Trust me, Arsenal are even taking the result if they had lost to Sporting CP and maybe channel all their efforts now in winning the Premier League. This is a competition that you finished second back to back to back. That mental pressure will tell, and it's already telling on these boys. You could see the players in the Premier League. This is the same as Mendy that was doing giveaway against Manchester United and against Tottenham, home and away. So I think the pressure now they are seeing, I won't call them their biggest nemesis, but they are seeing a team that has been trouble for them over the past 3-4 seasons in the Premier League, especially for Mikel Arteta. So it is now what he's going to say to those boys that, look, come and channel your Champions League form now into the Premier League. If they can do that, maybe we can see a different beast against Manchester City. But trust me, when they step onto the pitch at the Etihad, it's not going to be about what they can play. It's about how they can survive. That's where they're at the Etihad Stadium. It's going to be tough, trust me.
Let's get to see if they can definitely survive that at the Etihad Stadium. Arsenal still waiting to get their very first Premier League in over 20 years. Away from what happened right there in Europe last night, let's go straight to non-football stories and to hit it off with tennis, as Carlos Alcaraz has withdrawn from Barcelona Open after suffering a right wrist injury, raising concerns over his fitness ahead of French Open next month. The Spaniard, a two-time champion in Barcelona, required treatment during his opening round win over Otto Wettinen before later confirming scans showed the issues was more serious than first expected. Alcaraz said he will return home to begin recovery immediately as he races to be fit for upcoming events in Madrid and Rome before defending his French Open title in Paris. Meanwhile, Cameron Norrie reached the quarterfinals of Barcelona after beating Ethan Quinn in 3 sets, while Katie Butler advanced to the last 8 of the Open de Rune in France. And of course, elsewhere, Iga Swiatek progressed in Stuttgart, while Novak Djokovic confirmed he will return to action at the Madrid Open later this month. I mean, you and I were talking about, Carlos Alcaraz a couple of days ago. I think it was a couple of weeks ago, basically. We were talking about if this guy is going to be the man who is going to step into the Novak Djokovic shoe, becoming the all-time great. I mean, it depends. I mean, still quite young. Number of titles picked up already. Can he actually hit certain number of Grand Slam and all of that? It's still very early. Injury started hitting him. I mean, what does this say to the career of a young man?
I still don't want to see it as a threat yet.
Okay.
I mean, it's the Barcelona Open. When you look at it compared to the Grand Slams, you can't really compare the Barcelona Open. Is it good to pick up points? Of course, yes. Now, especially now that he has even dropped, to number 2 in the world. Number 1 is now Yannick Sinner. So I think he's going to, prioritize the major competitions, especially the Grand Slams, so that he can get more points and, defend his titles and come back to be number 1. I think that will be his first goal. So he's still very young, just like you said. I would put the injuries down to lots of games have been played. And I remember last year, a lot of players were coming out to, debate that a lot of games are now being played for these tennis players. Now they have the ATP Masters 500, the ATP Masters 1000, the Grand Slams are also there, the time frame, the invitational tournaments. A lot of players have been calling for sub-tournaments to actually be scrapped. So for me, I think it's just based on the number of games. I don't think the injuries are going to stop his momentum right now. It's still incredible.
But if you say it goes down to the number of games, these games will still be there, right? We also have this same incident.
But maybe the players should now consider it like another priority. I might not turn up for this one. let me turn off for the French
Investors are paying. Your brands want to see you there. I mean, people are actually sponsoring
then
you.
They should not blame the players for the burnout now.
Exactly what I'm saying. So that's exactly what I'm looking at, putting all of this into context. I'm asking, can he definitely live up to the Novak Djokovic era, where they actually got that huge number of Grand Slam? Is it possible going by what we're having today?
Is it achievable? Yes, it is. But don't let us put those three, the Rafas, the Rogers, and the Novak. Let us put them right now as their standard.
When they started, actually, right, they weren't actually the biggest of names.
But they were not playing many games.
Exactly what I'm saying.
They don't play many games.
People who actually played before them also didn't actually play the number of games that they did play.
Yeah.
So now we're having more games. We also have it with footballers. Look at the Champions League, number of games they play now. So all of these things happen with athletes. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about Raducanu, who keep leaving one tournament to another because of injury. Yeah. It's happening every single. So what can the world of tennis, in fact, sport generally do to help these players, because it's becoming more like they don't want these guys to actually show us what they've got.
Limit their number of games. Grand Slams are the Grand Slams. We already know that.
So
the ATP Masters 1000. Let us limit the ATP Masters 500.
At least for football,
an invitational tournament.
For team sports, it's easy. You can say you are not going to feed your first team. You can say you're also not going to feed your second team for lesser competitions, right? Yeah. But now for this, it's just a single sport. It's just you, and your opponent. So how are they going to manage it?
And maybe it's not down to the organizers now. It's down to the players. They should prioritize the one you want, right? The investors, I know they are going to talk. They want to see the big names, especially now that investors from the Middle East are actually coming in. Into these competitions. I think
it means more games.
We have the Qatar Open as well.
It means more games.
It means more games.
More money.
But an injured player will not play now. An injured player will not participate in those
But an injured player will be paid.
But then you are going to prioritize your career. If you want to get to the Novaks, if you want to get to the Rogers and the Rafas, then you should prioritize your game and know that, look, the one I can play, I will play. But yes, let's on a more serious note, maybe these young players cannot choose what the games they can play now because they are still stepping on in their careers. They still want to be made known. The likes of the Novak Djokovic, they can't pick when they will return to actions. They have already been there. They've done that. But I will still blame it on the fact that there's a lot to be played by these players. Yes, a lot of investment is coming into tennis these days, and these players are actually a big part of it. They are getting a large share of it as well. So. It is what it is. I want him to actually get to the level of the Novaks, but with things like this, I won't be surprised if he doesn't get there.
Absolutely. Talk about the old horse, the Murrays, and of course this big name Djokovic, who has actually done every single.
When is he going to retire?
Well, exactly. Talking about retirement, Jamie. Talking about retirement, at least. Don't ask me that. I really want to continue to see him, really. But
you want to continue to see him?
Yes, of course. Jamie Murray, who is actually the brother of
Andy
Murray, has actually announced his retirement from professional tennis, bringing an event to an illustrious career spanning more than 2 decades. The 40-year-old former world #1 in doubles confirmed his decision in a statement describing his journey in the sport as a privilege after the 6 years in tennis. Murray retires as a 7-time Grand Slam champion and one of Britain's most successful doubles players with 34 ATP Tour titles and a key role in Great Britain's 2015 Davis Cup triumph. He also made history alongside his brother Andy Murray, becoming part of the first siblings to simultaneously top the singles and doubles world rankings. Murray last competed at the US Open and is expected to remain involved in tennis in the media and tournament director role going forward. I mean, that's exactly where we expect people like this who have actually done a very good job in a career to actually go into. Find a way to actually, develop the game. Yeah. Hafiz, your last word as we actually, part this morning.
Yeah, I want to say good one for the man, Jamie Murray. I mean, yes, he was on top of the world with his brother Andy Murray. You can't deny what they've done for the sport. And it would be nice to see him still within the tennis environment. So good one for him. I mean, it's the end of an era. Let's see what the new era is going to give us. So good one for him going forward.
Yeah, of course, it's the end of an era and, of course, the end of today's episode of the Sport Republic Show. Do well to join the guys later this evening as Hafiz and Jerry will be here to break it all down in the locker room, give you the very, very best context that will help you stay informed in the world of football. And, of course, do not forget to join Sport Republic tomorrow as Kizzy will be taking us through the world and, of course, helping us understand what's going on in the world of sports. Up next is the midday news with David Edwin. I'm Ikechukwu Aguago. Have a sporty day ahead. Some of those guys just come.
Ọ bụrụ na m bụ ezigbo nwa afọ Naịjirịa, ka ihe m ga-eme pụrụ iche.
Nwanne m nwoke,
Adanne,
m ga-akwụ chi n'eziokwu, kwanyere ndị ọzọ ugwu ma lekọta obodo anyị anya.
Gbam!
Ụmụnne m na ụmụnna m, obodo anyị bụ Naịjirịa ga-aga n'iru ma ọ bụrụ na anyị jikọta aka kwado ndị na-achị anyị ka ha mee nke ha, anyị ga-emekwa nke anyị.
N'ezie, ọganihu ga-adị ma ọ bụrụ na anyị na ndị na-achị anyị jikọta aka rụọ ọrụ.
Asaa bụ
Onye ndị na-achị anyị kwekọtara ha ga-eme ka obodo wee dị mma.
Igbo kwenu! Igbo kwenu! Igbo kwezuenu o! Ọ bụrụ na mbụ ezigbo onye Naịjirịa, aga m eme na-edosa ụzọ anyị ụcha oge niile, na-akwụtụsi n'ụzọ eziokwu, na-emere ndị agbata obi anyị ebere. Ndị ọchịchị ga-arụ ụzọ ọma na-abịa, nwee ụlọ ọgwụ ọma na Anambra, mee Enugu ka ọ dị nchebe ehihie n'abalị. Nkwekọrịta gọọmenti na nzaghachi ndị obodo, ụmụnne m na ụmụnna m bilie ka anyị bulie Naịjirịa elu. Nkwekọrịta ndị ọchịchị anyị ga-aza, ọnụ obodo anyị ga-eme ya. Ọ bụ nkwekọrịta anyị na anyị ga-eme ka Naịjirịa gaa nke ọma. Nchebe gburugburu mebe obibi onye niile. Ndị ọchịchị ga-eweta ahụike. Ọ bụrụ na nrọ ọrụ ike mụta aka ọrụ, ndị ọchịchị ga-emepe. Naijiria obodo mmanụ aṅụ na mmiri ara ehi na-asọ, ụzọ ọma o, ụlọ ọgwụ ọma o, ebe obibi ọma o. Igbo ndị ọma pụtanụ ka anyị yọleba onye agbakwara nke nwanne ya gbara. Let's go!
Abia, Anambra, Ebonyi, Enugu na Imo, anyị na-ekwe nkwa na anyị ga-eso ụzọ asaa na asaa ndị na-achị anyị wepụtara.
Powered by National Orientation Agency. VOP TV. Now, you have more than a voice.
Welcome to the locker room, the home of football talk that matters. I am Jerry Ampelon. Join us every weekday, Monday to Friday at 5 p.m. Nigerian time, as we share the hot takes and hot debates in the exciting world of football.
And joining me are the usual suspects, Ikechukwu and Mayowa, as we break down all the hot takes and everything that's happening in the football. Don't just watch football, live it with us. Catch us on the Locker Room and Voice of the People television at 5 p.m. Nigerian time. And like I always say, if not going to the top, please discuss.
This is African News on Voice of the People television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeat, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People television. Stay with us.
In a world where power shifts with every headline,
In a nation full of questions,
in a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world, because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
in a world where power shifts with every headlines, news breaks and events happens, we bring you unbiased and explicit information on politics, economy and state of the nation. We break down the chaos. Facts, not fluff. Truth, not spin. We discuss not just politics, but a glimpse into the future. Voice of the People television. Now you have more than a voice.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on Vop TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector, from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
Behind every broken desk lies a broken promise. Education shapes the nations. But who is asking the right questions? Introducing Edu Dialogue, the show that goes beyond the surface, exposes the cracks, the corruption, and the silence in Nigeria's education system. Edu Dialogue, Saturdays, 3 p.m., only on Vop TV. We break the biggest stories, from missing funds to policy failures. We ask the tough questions and demand real answers. Edu Dialogue, this Saturday, 3 p.m. on Voice of the People television.
In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe. Hunger no get religion.
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand.
My name is Tao Familoni, and here's to Vop TV. Keep watching, stay tuned.
And you're watching Vop TV. Keep watching.
Welcome, my name is Zika Davis. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys, viewers, everybody, boys and girls. This is Vop TV. Do you know what that means? Voice of the People TV. You don't have a voice, don't come here. You better make sure your voice is heard.
The red carpets, awards, the razzmatazz, music, fashion, interviews, and more. Spotlight on Voice of the People television. Let's feed you with all the juicy stories in the global entertainment space, bringing you the glitz and glamour as it is hot. Stay tuned to Spotlight, 1 p.m. Monday to Friday. Spotlight on Vop TV. Entertainment like never before.
we encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at Vop TV Live. Visit.
Well, hello and welcome to the Midday News on Voice of the People Television. I am David Edwin. First, the headlines. Presidency backs Tinubu's 8 years. Atiku Abubakar eyes last run in election. ACF declares national emergency. Federal government drops Malami terror charge. Airlines threaten shutdown. And the world of business, currency holds firm against the dollar. And in sports, Inter Miami appoints Guillermo Hoyos as new head coach. In entertainment, Dangote makes Time Magazine 100 persons. And now the news in full. The presidency has pushed back against former Vice President Atiku Abubakar over his comments on power rotation in Nigeria. It insists that President Bola Tinubu must be allowed to complete 8 years in office. Presidential aides say Atiku is misreading Nigeria's political zoning arrangement. They argue that the South is still expected to complete its tenure cycle based on established tradition. They also accuse Atiku Abubakar of ignoring historical context in his argument. According to them, past political developments do not cancel the existing rotation understanding. The exchange is adding fresh tension to early political discussions ahead of 2027. Observers say it reflects how zoning debates will once again shape the coming election season. Meanwhile, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar says the 2027 election will be his final attempt at the presidency. He also says the ADC will first consider consensus before opting for primaries. Atiku explains that if consensus fails, the party will conduct a transparent primary election. He adds that he is ready to support whoever emerges as the candidate. The former vice president is also open to stepping aside if another strong contender is chosen. He insisted that building a broad political coalition remains key to winning future elections. Atiku also used the opportunity to criticize the current administration's performance, and still he maintains that experience will play a crucial role in leadership going forward. Moving on, the Nigerian Senate is demanding answers from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, over a massive financial query. Lawmakers say about 210 trillion naira is unaccounted for in audit reports covering several years. The Senate has directed top officials, including past and present executive, to appear before its committee on April the 29th. They are expected to explain the figures and clarify discrepancies in the company's accounts. Lawmakers say earlier explanation provided by the company were not detailed enough. They insist that all liabilities and obligations must be properly broken down and verified. The committee is warning that it will not tolerate delays or vague responses in their replies. Observers say the outcome of the hearing could have major implication for accountability in the oil sector. Moving on to some security matters, security agencies have been placed on high alert in Abuja over reports of a suspected militant plot. Intelligence sources say that key infrastructure may be targeted. According to internal security information, possible targets include the Abuja airport and correctional facilities. Authorities say similar threats have also been flagged in neighboring Niger State. The report suggests that the aim is to breach secure locations and free detained insurgents. Security analysts say also are drawing comparison with past coordinated attacks in the region. While officials are yet to issue a full public statement, personnel have been deployed as a precaution. The situation is being closely monitored as investigation continues. Meanwhile, the Arewa Consultative Forum says Nigeria's security situation has reached a dangerous stage. It describes the crisis as being close to a state of war. The group made the declaration after a meeting in Abuja attended by several northern leaders. It warned that continued violence is threatening national stability and survival. This comes amid fresh attacks in Borno State, where soldiers and civilians were killed in separate incidents. Security forces also say they have continued operations against insurgents in the area. The ACF is now calling for emergency measures and a stronger government response. It says restoring security must be the country's top priority before any major development efforts can succeed. And still on some security matters, the federal government has made a major adjustment in the case involving former Attorney General Abubakar Malami and his son. It has dropped the initial terrorism financing charges against them. Prosecutors have now replaced the charge with allegations of illegal possessions of firearms and ammunition. The case is said to involve weapons allegedly found at the residence in Kebbi State. Both Malami and his son have pleaded not guilty to the amended charges. The court has also allowed their existing bail conditions to remain in place. The matter has now been adjourned for trial in May and June. The court says proceedings will continue under the new charges. Away from that, the Corporate Affairs Commission is dealing with a cybersecurity incident. It says there was unauthorized access to parts of its digital system. According to the Commission, the breach is limited and already being contained. It also says response measures were activated immediately after detection. CAC is now working with relevant agencies to assess the full impact. Additional security layers have also been introduced to protect its systems. Users are being advised to update their login details and stay alert. The Commission says it will continue to provide updates as investigation progresses. Moving on, Nigeria's aviation sector is facing turbulence as airline operators, issue a warning over rising costs. They say they may suspend flight operations if the situation is not addressed. The airline operators of Nigeria say the price of aviation fuel has jumped sharply in recent weeks, according to them. The increase has made operations increasingly unsustainable for carriers. They argue that the hike is far above international benchmark and is putting serious pressure on the industry. Some airlines say they are already struggling to keep flights running. The operators are now calling on the federal government to intervene urgently. They warn that if anything and nothing changes, a nationwide suspension of flights could begin next Monday. Moving on to other stories, the 2026 UTME officially started today across the country, with over 2.2 million candidates expected to participate. This massive exercise is scheduled to run until April the 22nd. This with daily sessions held at nearly 1,000 accredited computer centers. JAMB Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede is calling on all exam officials to maintain the highest level of professionalism throughout the week. He emphasized that the success of the entire process depends on their dedication and careful handling of exam materials. To keep things fair, the board has deployed advanced technology, including biometric verification and real-time monitoring. Oloyede also reminded candidates that there is a zero-tolerance policy for any form of cheating or prohibited items in the halls. In many areas, the first sessions are already underway, though some centers have reported minor delays in starting their morning schedules. Overall, the logistics are in place to ensure millions of students can complete their exams over the next few days. You're still watching the Midday News right here on Voice of the People Television. We'll go on a very short break right now. When we return, the news analysis will be continued. Please stay with us.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at Vop TV Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. Vop TV, Voice of the People Television.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
We're glad to have you back. It is still the Midday News right here on Voice of the People Television. We'll go straight to the analysis segment of the news, and joining us now to make sense of these stories and more in the studio with us is Mr. Lawal Ekpudayo. He is an educationist and also public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Mr. Lawal, a very good afternoon to you, and thank you for joining the conversation this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Didn't add on successful farmer.
Oh, yes, he's also a farmer. That's true. Also joined us in the studio, I mean, you've heard him already, is Mr. Dele Fanimo, seasoned reporter and also public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Mr. Fanimo, thank you so very much for being here.
Always my pleasure.
All right, then, let me start off this conversation from the educationist. I mean, the JAMB exam starts today with several warnings from the JAMB themselves. Looking at the fact that this call from Ishaq Oloyede, the registrar of JAMB, clearly telling all officials to maintain the highest level of professionalism throughout the week. This is coming at the backdrop of the fact that there are some feelers that some of these CBT centers have now become what is popularly called special centers. How much of an impact would the statement of the JAMB registrar to the officials have with this development?
Well, you can't tell a criminal not to steal. I mean, the only thing you do is to make sure that you put measures in place to either prevent it or punish, the thief. That's the way. It's not by the word of mouth. You should be coming out to tell us that we caught. If eventually
they get anybody,
we caught some of our officials and they have been charged to court and they are facing it. Not for you to tell them, because we know these special centers is a business for some people. So we want more than that. We want actions, not word of mouth.
All right then. Well, let me move this conversation a bit from you to Mr. Dele Fanimo. The fact that we see some of these young people clearly prepared for this examination is on one side, and on the other side is the CBT centers, which again is a major conversation around the educational sector. Not all Nigerian schools, public schools precisely, where the people have too many students, have seen, I dare say loosely, the level of computing that will be found in the CBT centers. How can these students navigate this at this time? Even though they've been reading and, of course, preparing before now, but how can this also be done better on the part of government and the students themselves preparing for this exam?
You see, it's quite unfortunate that we have two classes of students as we have now. There are some people in the hinterland that the much they know about computer is the drawing on the board, the teachings of mouse, keyboard, keypad or whatever, hard drive, Whereas some people right from cradle have been interacting with these gadgets. Now, put these people on the race track to best the tape. Who do you think will win the race? Between somebody right from primary school who has been interacting, in fact, at the level of school certificate, he can write Java and pass. And then compare it with somebody who's just coming from a very remote village where there is no even electricity to power if there is any computer at all. The best they could do for that kind of students is probably to bring him to the city center, train him for 1 week or two. There's no way you could catch up. I'll give you an example. There was a particular center where my baby of the house wanted to sit for JAMB about 4 years ago.
Okay.
At the end of that exam, the exam was conducted right inside JAMB office in Ibadan, his own center. One boy came out and was crying profusely. So as a journalist, I took interest in what was going on. So I moved closer and I asked, what exactly is the problem? Does it mean that the allotted time was short or what? You know what happened to this boy? At the end of every question, there will be submit. And there should be another button that says continue on the next question.
Okay.
So he assumed that submit means submit this paper that you have concluded.
And then continue.
And then continue with another paper. But that submit means you have finished.
The entire papers.
The entire papers. And so out of 4 papers, he only wrote 1.
Oh dear.
That's the danger of some of these things. Now, over time, you now discover that students that are very brilliant, but disadvantaged somehow, not because of his own volition, not because his parents couldn't afford it, but because what is necessary, what is required, is not provided by government, either at local government or state level. Then that boy or girl become disadvantaged.
Oh, well, because of our time, and I understand that Mr. Wow has to also run out now because he has other engagements at our radio. I'm going to stay with you on this particular question. You understand as well that WAEC is also going to tour this direction in a few years from now. How much are preparing?
3 years, or in the next 2 months, or this year.
Well,
you see BT now from this year.
So looking at it, how much of a time bomb, I dare say this loosely, are we going to be experiencing as a result of this?
See, that is why I keep saying it. That the way we run our education system is not the way education is supposed to be run. We always base everything, most of it, on politics. I was at an inaugural lecture of a professor in Unilag yesterday, and this is exactly what the inaugural lecture was based on. That 95% of our activities in this country is based on politics. You want to appoint politics, you want to employ politics, you want to policy politics, everything is politicized. And then we create problem in the systems, and then the problem keep aggravating, and the next person that is coming in will continue from that problem.
In other words, you're saying this is politically more.
Yes, because you don't see, when you are dealing with human beings, and they are the most difficult organism to deal with. That's why they deliberately created an area for them called psychology, and cut across all disciplines, because humans are very difficult to deal with because of our intelligence. Now, you want to bring in something that deals with human beings, and then you put it in a rush. Things like CBT, something that's supposed to take 10 years planning, you want to do it immediately. No, we are starting it now.
And 10 years consistent working on the plan.
Yes, you start. That's what, see, this secondary school, I'll give you, do you know we have different secondary schools? People don't know there are different. You see name of secondary school, you think it's not secondary school. When a child moves from that primary to the next level, then it is now splitted. You have secondary school, normal, you have grammar school, you have model, you have high school, you have college. All of these ones have purposes. That's why they name them. But we make use of these purposes. We have technical school, which is still secondary school. You understand?
Yeah.
Now, there are some you use as a pilot study. Like model school, they use them as a pilot study for, program policies. You want to bring in policies, you take some certain schools, you use them as a pilot study to see how it fits. But we don't do that. We just rush everything. No, we need to do this thing, and then we start doing it without considering, the impact, positive impact, negative impact. We don't. Even when people's experts are talking, no, let's wait till they say no. It's common with government. They will say, Mr. Fanimo, there's no going back. It's very good at the amount. Even when experts are telling them that let's put caution on this thing. Let's wait till you see the government will say, with all those experts they say there's no going back. We need to do it. And this is creating a lot of problems. This CBT now supposed to take us the next 10 years. Even JAM. That's why JAM is facing a lot of issues. Now it's telling its people not to do their conduct and everything. That means you are sure that there are problems. And these problems are not taken care of. You get it? You didn't consider, okay, what about a child that is in a remote island, and the child has to cross that remote island to come to a center to do JAM? You don't know that you need to be psychologically ready for an exam. There's what we refer to as exam tension. When exam tension gets hold of you, you are the most brilliant student, you will fail. You get it? Because they bring in things that you are not used to. It will affect you.
All right, then.
So we need to take caution. All these things they are rushing all these children into, it's not the proper way. It's not. Now, WAEC, schools, no. The ministry said, I think House of Assembly said they should give it the next 3 years. But now this one I know, WAEC is going to do it. It's going to take place this year.
Oh, wow.
And they said, and some people school don't even know.
As against the directive of the legislatures. Okay, well, we definitely will keep our eyes on this particular conversation, even though there's so much to talk about on this CBT situation, particularly on the part of the students and even the teachers, I dare say, because again, we have so much question. But again, thank you so very much, Mr. Lawal, for being here. We understand you have to run down to the radio to continue this conversation. Okay. I will definitely stay with Mr. Daly Fanimo on this.
What do I want to run out to?
But well, I don't think he wants to. No, we'll take a very short break right now. When we return, the analysis will continue shortly. Please stay with us.
Dialogue. We bring you fresh ideas and conversations, shaping the future of learning in Nigeria and beyond.
In a world where power shapes with every headline.
In a nation full of questions.
In a world filled with noise, the truth needs a voice.
The policies that shapes our world and the economy that determines our future.
Every hour, every day, the grapevine keeps buzzing. And together, we are committed to telling the stories that shape our world because your voice is our focus.
Don't forget, our voice matters the most. Let us come together and share our concerns.
This
All right, I'm glad to have you back. It is still the Midday News right here on Voice of the People Television. We're continuing the analysis segment. And before the break, I truly did say that I had other questions on the system that we're still talking about. And we still have with us Mr. David Fanimo, seasoned reporter and also a public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Mr. Fanimo, I want to find out from you, against the backdrop of the fact that the House of Reps said, look, let's put a hold on the CBT on WAEC. But WAEC is still saying we will be going on with this examination, just like we've heard from the educationists that just left a couple of minutes ago. How much of an implication would that have on the system? And I'm talking about the examination holistically, both on the teachers now and also the students, particularly the ones that are in the remote areas that rarely have power to run a computer system.
I just told you about a particular scenario that I witnessed about 4 years
ago. Oh yes, judging by that scenario as well.
Now, the question you ask yourself is, the fact that somebody like me had been able to get out of that mess, I should be emotionally intelligent enough to also consider those who are going to be enmeshed in that problem. Now, what do you intend to achieve in exclusivity in an exam that should be all-inclusive?
Okay.
Is it to deliberately deny brilliant but not built to do that exam? Or you want to give that advantage to the novo-rich as against those who don't have? And in most cases, nature has a way of maintaining a balance. Up till as we speak, I've not heard of a billionaire in this country that has produced a president. If a person just wants to tell his story, he will tell you that there was a time his father had to use him as collateral for a loan. Which means his father was never a rich person.
Right.
Yar'Adua came from a dynasty, but they were not billionaires.
The former president, Goodluck Jonathan, never had shoes.
Jonathan never had shoes at some point in his life. And Buhari even never had anybody between the father and mother that was known to be rich. Today, Tinubu, we have not read history of his stupendously wealthy father. What that tells you is that there's need at all times to give equal, unfettered access to quality education to every Nigerian, regardless of the status of his parent or where he is or she is from.
Okay.
Because don't forget that it's an accident of fate that I'm a Nigerian today. If there is a place where you can make a choice at birth, where you want to go, I'm sure 60 to 70% of Nigerians would have made another choice other than coming to Nigeria.
By history and antecedents.
But here we are today, and you have killed the health sector. An average Nigerian cannot access good quality health. Drugs are priced above the reach of the common man. And so people die of malaria that you only need between 2000 and 2005 to cure. Now, you are coming to education. You destroy public universities. You destroyed public secondary schools that only those who don't have an option will put their children in public, primary, secondary, and even university.
Now that you're talking about this, it just came to me, and some opposition figures have said the killing of the educational sector clearly is on the part that, just like you mentioned, public universities are nothing to write home about again by infrastructure and all of it. But of course, we see several private universities being springed up. Some opposition figures have said this is the reason why the educational system is being crippled to this stage. Plus the fact that there is also the conversation about wanting to be another remunerating agency on the part of WAEC, thus the reason for the insistence of this CBT. Do you share this sentiment as well?
You see, the fact that somebody went through a particular route and gets to his destination, it's not automatic for you to apply that particular route and get to your destination too. Now, the basic things required to conduct this kind of CBT examination had become a given in some other climes. You imagine if South Africa wants to conduct CBT. In fact, students will go out without any prompting and they will sit, write their exams, and then expect results.
You know, while you're talking, I just remember the video I saw of a Chinese primary school, these young children.
Oh, when they were using their hands.
Were less
but our own, we were teaching them how to pray.
7 years old.
We were teaching them to pray. While 7-year-old had begun to perfect his culinary skills, his molding skills, and other vocations. For our own, we are taught to pray and fire in tongues.
Oh, well, Mr. Fanimo, before I jump off this conversation, do you think that just like we hear opposition and some of the Nigerians say, the Nigerian curriculum is
obsolete?
Okay.
If you don't want to use that word, I will help you.
Those very heavy words out of me. But then,
obsolete.
How can we...
Look, let me tell you. Do we need 4 years in secondary school to study archaeology in this country?
Okay.
Do you need, as it is today, with the current challenges in this country, do we need to go and stay in university to go and study philosophy for 4 years? To what end? The colonial masters brought education to us for us to read enough for us to go into civil service so that you can continuously be slaves to them. Some people, that's why I love the Southeasterners. Of all the things they rejected, this idea was public service. Did you know that until about 15, 20 years ago, you hardly find Igbo people in the civil service? What are they going to do? In fact, if your governor steals you blind, it doesn't matter. As long as it doesn't touch other market, it doesn't touch Odisha market. That's their own. But those of us that were trained, that brainwashed into going into university education, we were only trained with theories that prepares our mind to be slaves perpetually through working as a salary earner. Show me a salary earner until recently that they started stealing that can be a rich man for their entire life.
Oh, well.
So the curriculum is obsolete. You know that in some university, you find professors bringing their torn notes. The notes they used about 30 years ago, they're still bringing it to classroom to come and teach in this time and age.
So much to talk about when it comes to the education sector, but I want to shift gear because I know Mr. Fanimo has so much to even answer me on that particular sector. Let's shift gear a little, Mr. Fanimo. The airline operators of Nigeria has said that they might be going on a major strike from Monday as a result of the sharp hike in aviation fuel that has caused operation to be super astronomical on their path. What's your position with these developments? Because clearly this would mean that whoever wants to fly, which again is adjudged to be one of the safest in the country right now, might just not be able to do that as a result of
those super rich people, they can still fly.
I like the emphasis on the word super
rich. They can still fly. Okay. They can hire private jets and then take them maybe for a trip that ordinarily if you fly a commercial aircraft, you pay like 400,000 or 300,000. But they can also hire a private jet that they will spend as much as 15 million naira for a trip to Abuja from Lagos.
This is the lived reality though, but how much of an impact really would this strike action have on the aviation industry?
You see, it's not even a strike. Let's not call it a strike. Survival strategy.
On the part of the business owners?
Yes! Up to today, is it not instructive to you that we don't have anger for this check and C check in Nigeria? You have to go offshore and you use dollars.
In doing that? Now, there is no, in the whole of Africa, no single country manufactures the minutest part of aircraft components. You still have to go to Europe, Asia to acquire all those things. And one curious thing about it is, go and find out the pattern of passenger airlift in Nigeria in the last 10 years. They merge schedules, like 3. Once they look at their manifest and there are 120 seats in that particular aircraft and only 40 have been taken. They don't want to fly 40 with such huge amount of... It's not economically cool for them.
So they will now tell you technical each, whatever each they call it, and then wait for, from 6:30, 9 o'clock, another round. Then when it is just about half filled, they will now say, sorry, because of bad weather. After all, you don't have instrument to check if weather is bad or not. You are not in the meteorological agency to find out if it is a lie or not. So you have to believe. And then they move it to 1:30 in the afternoon. In some cases, a flight that's supposed to be first flight is at 6:50 a.m. You may end up flying at 9 p.m. just to stay afloat. Now, Jet A1 is eating the roof.
Now let's talk about the fact that, because I hear now that we are out of time, but let's talk about the fact that they argue that the hike is far above international benchmark and, of course, putting serious pressure on the industry. The hike Jet A1, yes.
You see, the point
from what they get.
You see, the point is, Dangote supplies a fraction of this Jet A1.
Yes.
And it plays by international market. Because you are not selling crude to him in Naira value. You sell Naira for crude at dollar value. The only advantage is you are not taking Naira out of the country in exchange and come and pay Dangote in dollar. So it's still the same thing. And the man has to work along with international market vagaries. He wants to stay afloat. He's in business for business. You can fault him.
Oh, well. Well, because of our time, goodness me, I wanted you to also react on the fact that there's been this precaution, warning on the part of the Federal Capital Territory, clearly on a major conversation of attack on the Nigerian, the airport in Abuja and, of course, Niger State. This security red alert clearly is one that has become one too many.
There are Pretoria warning, security intel, and have we reacted to one to douse that tension? No. Most of the attacks we experience.
How do you react to not reacting to those threats, those red alerts?
It shows that
we record as well that the U.S. Embassy also did pick away some of their people. So
you see,
how do you react to that really?
You see, the point is, all of us in Nigeria are sitting ducks. Because we have incapable or unwilling leaders who, as a result of the general election that is coming up January next year, couldn't muster the courage to say, if I lose, I lose, but I want my people to be alive.
I think that is the reason why Senate President Akpabio did say what he said yesterday about the fact that after election, 2 weeks after election.
That man is a very flippant person. And from the amount of the, I don't know what to use here, you get the mindset of the wise.
Oh, well, this is where we have to draw anchor on the analysis segment. So much to ask Mr. Dele Fanimo. But of course, because of our time, this is where we have to draw anchor. I want to say a big thank you to Mr. Dele Fanimo, seasoned reporter, and also public and political affairs analyst and commentator. Thank you so very much, sir.
It's always my pleasure.
We'll take a very short break right now where we return awareness activity as Edo marks World Health Day. These are more when we return after this break. Please stay with us.
We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Voice of the People TV. Also follow us on all our social media platforms. We are at Vop Tv Live. Visit our website www.vop.ng for fresh and trending news. Also watch us live on SLTV channel 264. Vop TV, Voice of the People Television.
We're glad to have you back. And it's still the media news right here on Voice of the People Television. Now to other stories. The Edo State Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the World Health Organization, has marked the 2026 World Health Day in Benin City, days after the global observance on April the 7th, with activities promoting preventive healthcare and science-based living. Our correspondent in Edo, Rhoda Johnny, reports this.
Edo State Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the World Health Organization, has commemorated the 2026 World Health Day, days after the official April 7 observance, with the theme Together for Health, Stand with Science. Activities began with a health walk in Benin City as health workers moved through major areas to promote healthy living, allowing for wider participation of stakeholders and residents. The exercise also featured sensitization visits to markets and schools, alongside community medical outreach services aimed at improving access to basic healthcare. Officials say the initiative underscores the importance of preventive healthcare and service-driven approaches to improving public health.
And the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with partners like WHO, have rolled out free health awareness campaign, following with free medical outreaches that is started today. One have started today at the Ijobe along Airport Road, where the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with Arise Diabetic, always carry out free medical screening and treatment for diabetic and hypertensive patients every Tuesday. So today, being Tuesday, we have dedicated our place for more expansion of free medical outreaches and treatment for common ailments like malaria, diabetes, hypertension, and the likes. Tomorrow we are going to continue with the free medical treatment or outreaches at Oropota Hall, and it is Panty next tomorrow being Thursday. So the aim of this is to make sure that we just get in touch with people, sensitize them, educate them on the importance of healthy living and dwelling more on making our environment clean, we maintaining hygiene, then protect ourselves from mosquito bites to avert malaria.
Like you can see, the theme for the World Health Day today is together for health, stand up for science. So we are trying to see to it that we let everybody know the importance of health to you as a person and to people around you. Okay, so we keep doing this, we keep saying this during the road rallies. Just like we came out from the press briefing, we saw the permanent secretary on behalf of the Commissioner for Health said things about this, and it actually it was very interesting for us. We're happy to hear that, and then we'll go around to the markets now. We still get to the market, we'll go around Ring Road talking to them, everybody will see. And there's an outreach going on immediately after this rally at the Arise Diabetic Support Center, number 10 Airport Road. We'll do that outreach today, we'll do it tomorrow, we'll do it on Thursday. What we're trying to do is also to give people free BP checks, free sugar and blood glucose checks, and also distribute malaria drugs, also do testings, distribute them. There are free consultations that will be going on, eye checkers, free glasses distribution, courtesy of the governor of the state, courtesy of the governor of those state, courtesy of the Ministry of Health, courtesy of WHO and other development partners. UNICEF is also part of us.
Outreach efforts also provided residents with basic medical checks and health information, encouraging healthier lifestyles across communities. Rhoda Jomi, Vop TV News.
Thank you so very much, Rhoda, for that report. Moving on to other stories, finding affordable housing in Lagos is becoming increasingly difficult as many residents struggle with the rising cost of rent across the state. From the mainland to the island, tenants say the surge in prices is putting pressure on their income and standard of living. Voice of the People TV's Oyedamola Ologoto took to the streets to get reactions from residents in Lagos.
Lagos, Nigeria's commercial hub, continues to witness a steady increase in house rents, leaving many residents worried about affordability. For some, relocating to cheaper areas has become the only option, while others say they are forced to share apartments or negotiate payment plans with landlords. Many residents attribute the hike to inflation, high cost of building materials, and increased demand for housing. Go ahead.
Okay, my take on policy on this aspect is just because of the policy made in Nigeria some reason ago. Because nowadays there's no policy backing up the tenants or the landlords. So the landlords just come out of a sudden and increase all of the risks that the material what by now is to increase increase in the material of the building, increase on the building material, everything is low. We only need the government to intervene on the policy to help the tenants out, so it won't affect the low income workers a lot to the extent of what will happen. Actually, there is still a lot the Lagos State can still do, because one, the regulation, because there should be an intermediary in between the Lagos State and the Landlord Association, because there's an association backing them up. So the Lagos State needs to go and make the association, okay, what do you really want? So don't let it affect the people working in Lagos to the extent that they would have be moving away from Lagos. Because if moving away from Lagos now, they will not be looking at extra, okay, once I'm moving from Lagos, they will look at the transport, so they'll be making a mix of finding a work elsewhere. So to affect the income, the GDP of Lagos entirely himself.
While tenants express frustration, some landlords and agents argue that rising maintenance costs and economic conditions have made rent adjustments inevitable.
Pretty expensive. Very, very appalling situation right now. But I think we've gone beyond the stage of blaming government for almost everything. For me, I choose not to blame government. Rather, I think I think it should go down to the local government, because there's so much funds going to the states now. And probably the states do not know what they should do with it, or they are not doing what I think they should do with it. They can do better. Yes, but considering the economic quagmire we all find ourselves in right now, I do not think it's way beyond. It's a global problem for me, and we shouldn't blame everything on government. Like I would say, I'm not a proponent of that.
Stakeholders say the situations call for urgent intervention, including policies that can regulate rent and promote affordable housing schemes for low and middle income earners. As the cost of living continues to rise, many Lagos residents say access to affordable housing is becoming a growing concern that requires immediate attention. Oyindamola Olukuso, for Voice of the People TV.
Thank you so very much, Oyindamola, for that report. Straight we'll go talking business. The Naira is showing signs of strength at the start of trading today. It's opening on a positive note against the dollar in the official market. Early figures show the currency trading around 1,344 Naira to the dollar. It briefly touched a stronger level before settling within that range. Analysts say improved foreign exchange inflows are helping to support the local currency. They also point to ongoing efforts by the central bank to clear outstanding demands. Even with the optimism, experts are still being cautious. They say demand for dollars for travels, schools, school fees, and imports could influence where the market heads next. And from business, we move straight to talking sports. Guillermo Hoyos is officially taking over the reins at Inter Miami following the sudden departure of Javier Mascherano. Hoyos is no stranger to the club's star player, having mentored Lionel Messi back during his early days at Barcelona. While the two share a long-standing friendship, the new coach made it clear that training will remain intense. He emphasized that their personal bond wouldn't stop him from pushing the Argentine superstar to keep performing at his best. Currently, Miami is sitting in third place in the Eastern Conference after a solid start to the season. The club expects Hoyos to provide stability as they look to build on their recent MLS Cup success. However, sources suggest this might be a short-term arrangement to keep the momentum going through the summer. A permanent coaching structure is reportedly being planned to take effect before the League's Cup begins in August. And to wrap up the midday news, we'll go straight talking entertainment. Nigerian industrialist Aliko Dangote has earned global recognition once again. He has been named among the Time magazine's 100 most influential persons for 2026. The list features world leaders, business executives, and cultural icons shaping global conversation. Dangote appears alongside figures like Donald Trump, Pope Leo XIV, and tech leaders from Google and YouTube. This is the second time Dangote is making the prestigious list, having first appeared in 2014. His inclusion this year highlights his continued impact in business and philanthropy. Observers say the recognition also reflects Africa's growing influence on the global stage. Dangote's work in industrialization and development continues to position the continent as a major player in the global economy. And with that entertainment story, we've come to the end of the